Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Collins, and I want to tell you all about my show, the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. On the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, we do a thorough analysis on the biggest issues and trends within the pro wrestling industry. We talk a lot about pro wrestling media, we talk a lot about fan culture and wrestling's place within general pop culture, and we talk about the broader influences that are shaping the way we discuss and analyze the pro wrestling industry. We've had some of the brightest minds in the pro wrestling intelligentsia on the show, including WrestleNomics host Brandon Thurston, both Rich Craich and Joe Lanza from the Flagship Wrestling Podcast, Trevor Dame from the Through the Years podcast, and a whole lot more. This isn't a show for hot takes. It's not a show recapping the latest episode of television. This is a show focusing on the biggest topics in pro wrestling and doing a deep dive on the real stories behind the surface level analysis you might find elsewhere. The Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts, and we'd really appreciate it if you gave us a try. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the podcast all about Joshi Pro Wrestling here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Every other Monday, we are with you talking about the biggest news in Joshi, along with show reviews, previews, and much, much more.
So if you're new to Joshi or you've been a longtime fan, this is the show for you. We've got something for everyone here. So check us out, Jumping Bomb Audio.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
To the highway in a brand new day. Gotta let it go. So fast to finger down. Stars tonight together. Here everyone is singing.你看到我就怕，头皮发麻，我的手。
Welcome back to Open the Voice Gate for June 24th, 2023. We are members of the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. You can find us on Voices of Wrestling Podcast feed or our own dedicated Open the Voice Gate feed on all podcast platforms and applications. You can follow us on Twitter at Open Voice Gate. I'm one of your hosts. It's your old pal, Mike Spears, joined alongside, as always, Case Lowe, and we are joined by special guest, voice of Dragongate English commentary, Jay. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. We are now less than 10 days away from Kobe Pro Wrestling Festival, July 2nd. And is it just me so far this year, or everything just feels completely out of rhythm? And this Kobe world, the beginning of July, feels like the biggest case of that.
It's weird, yeah. I don't dislike it, but at the same time, it does still feel like there should be another month to go and not a week to go before we get to this.
Yeah, not getting the July Cork and before World feels kind of like a drastic change in the way that everything is done. Not that, normally not that anything major happens on that July Cork, and last year being an exception, but it's strange that there's a show in Kobe the day before, and then that's kind of the only thing we have left before World, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the drawback, is there's been this 2 weeks of just house shows. Nothing on the network, nothing particularly happening. The entire card was essentially set up after Fukuoka, which was two weeks ago now. So we've had 2 weeks to kind of sit on the entire card. There's been various news, but I don't know. I mean, I think the pacing of July being KOG and then Dangerous Gate coming up after that, I think that it's fine once we if this becomes the normal routine, it's fine. They just have to find something better to put in this back half of June to make the road to Kobe World a little more exciting.
Yeah, the Okinawa vacation should go after World, not 2 weeks before. That seems to throw off the
Well,
pacing of the build a
it,
little bit.
it's interesting you say that. It's during this time because anything later than this, you start bumping into typhoon season, and there was
Well, I don't want
a
that. I apologize to the Dragongate roster for insinuating I want them to be caught in typhoon season.
because if you remember a few years ago, gosh, what year was it? There was an Okinawa tour that took place, and there was a typhoon hit. Gosh, it was before COVID, so it was a million years ago now. But
Yeah, I don't even remember that.
yeah, it was in September in 2019 and before. It was always in September, and September is typhoon season. So for like the fan tours and things like that, like if there's a typhoon, people can't fly for the fan tour. So that's why it's in June.
Yeah, and if you can't get the people out there, then why are you doing it? So-
Basically, yeah, because the fan tour is where, because there was I don't know, 210 people at this show last week, which is a lot for that venue. But
yeah,
but
I mean,
60 of them were fan tour people. So I mean that's a pretty considerable jump. 244. So yeah, I mean 244. Yeah, I mean that's more than. I mean, that's a good chunk of the people that are there are people that paid the mega bucks to go see it. So
It's not a sizable crowd, but I do, and Jay, tell me if I'm wrong, I do consider Okinawa to be one of those places that, maybe Dragongate doesn't draw these monster houses there, but all things considered, it's a pretty good market for them in the same way that, I've started obsessing on this podcast over some Nagoya attendance because Dragongate not only does better than everybody else with the exception of New Japan, but they rival New Japan in that market occasionally. Is Okinawa considered to be like a decent place for business there, or is it more just a laid back fun tour for everybody?
well, we'll see how Nagoya goes. But I mean Okinawa is small. I mean like this 244 seats is full sellout. This is claiming, and that's like the biggest venue you can get there. So and if you can't do 200 people, then it's not even worth going. So I don't know. It's not going to be live on the network anymore because the building sucks in terms of like network connections. So it's too troublesome to do that. But I don't know. Did you watch the YouTube? Did you have a chance to watch the YouTube digests?
Yeah, they were fun.
I think I watched the second one, not the first one. Did you watch the Double Dragon show?
I have not.
That was on the Riku Dragon YouTube, right?
Yeah, it was right after, but they aired it live. It's still up there if you haven't seen it. I heard that I haven't had a chance to. I started watching it live and I fell asleep because I was tired already, not because the show was bad. And I haven't had a chance to go back to watch it, but I heard that show was really good. The Ryukyu anniversary show back in, what was it? The one where Yamato lost the title was also really good, really hot.
That match with Gherkin Mask was one of probably my favorite Yamato matches in the last 14 months, like 15 months, probably dating back to his last Dreamgate run. Like that was a lot of fun.
I don't know what's going on with Gurukun Mask though, because he's retiring basically, but he's still their champion. And now the other guy retired today. Kagetora's classmate, what's his name, Gosamaru, retired today, and K-Jax is leaving. So I don't know what's going on with Ryukyu Dragon, but whatever. It's more market share for us, and they still own a ring, and so we don't have to fly one in.
Yeah, you don't have the issue that DDT had in Hakadate last month.
What happened?
They whenever they went up to Sapporo, it was like right after Dragon Gate's Hokkaido swing. They apparently only they rented a ring and then they lost whatever ring skirts or canvases that they would bring up, and they had to wait around until Katsuo brought some.
That's Katsuo's ring, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't get the whole deal or made sure that Takagi brought the canvas with him and with him. But
Well, I mean, it would be, gosh, I don't know how you would, because if you're driving, you got to take the ferry to get there. I mean, Hokkaido is obnoxious to go to by land. So I mean, I could see trouble. Like there was last year's spring Hokkaido tour. On the way back, after the Hakodate show, actually on the way back, they had a show in Sendai the next day, but the show in Hakodate ended late, so they missed the last boat from Hokkaido back to the mainland. So they had to sit and like wait on the bus or wait in the truck overnight until the first boat the next morning. Get on the boat, cross the sea, land back on land, drive, and then drive to Sendai for the show. So I sympathize with DDT for that, because it's not easy.
It's something like you brought up them like sleeping on the bus. Like that's kind of been a thing, I feel like, over like the last year, that they get stuck on that bus or in the ring truck. Because wasn't it from Nagoya that they were snowed in earlier this year?
Yeah, that was when they had to. Was that? Yeah, like there was that terrible snowstorm, and they got stuck a couple times actually. Because there was the one where Daya and those guys were stuck in the tunnel, and it was on the news. And then there was the one before Final Gate where it had snowed the night before, and they were coming in from Kobe to Fukuoka, and the people on the bus were supposed to arrive at 1 p.m. They got there at like 7:30 p.m. or something like that. Like the bus group like had to get changed on the bus and walk into the fan meet and greet straight off the bus because of getting snowed in. I got there super early, expecting everybody to be there, and nobody was there. So I went up to my room. I fell asleep. I slept through the meet and greet. So
that was on the day of Final Gate.
That was the day before the meet and greet was Saturday night, and then the show is Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like the theme of this podcast is becoming me falling asleep before.
Hey, at least with the Yokohama show coming up next year, in theory, you could at least sleep in your own bed that night.
Oh yeah, no. The only times I stay overnight for World because of the fan party the night before. Like if there wasn't this show before the fan party, I probably would have skipped the fan party and just gone the day of and then gone right back afterwards. But really, Fukuoka is the only time I have to stay over because I can't get back. The show ends late. And like you got to fly back, so it's impossible. But even Gate of Destiny, if it ends early enough, I'm trying to run to the train station and get home. But yeah, Yokohama's a breeze. Yokohama, I'll be back before the sun goes down. That's great. And it's a real big show. It's not like a Sendai Wakayama big show. So it's gonna be good.
Yeah, and I feel like I can only speak like for me, but for years there was always this lull in January and February, and like they were able with Rey de Parejas to keep things like not make it feel that way. And then I know in the past I had the Rookie Ranking League in 2019 to do that, but having a actual tentpole big show in January, at least I feel like that they would do like those trios tournaments just to fill up time and to fulfill sponsorship obligations. I'm glad now that there is something that's not so sleepy starting each calendar year.
It's weird though, because it's a quick turnaround, because the tour, because it's that Saturday. It's the 21st or 28th, whatever the date is, because the series starts on the 6th. So it's like the first show after Final Gate is on January 6th, and then there's like 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I guess you've got Kyoto, Osaka, 2 days in Cork and 2 days in Kobe to build it. So yeah, I mean, I guess
Is there any historical significance Toryumon or Dragongate wise in Yokohama? It feels like I can't think of anything that's happened there.
This is the second show in Yokohama Budokan. The first one was like the third ever Toryumon Japan show, the one that had Magnum versus Sasuke.
Okay.
That was in Yokohama Budokan. They haven't been back there. They haven't been back for a big show since. Kai is from there. Machine J is from there. Music Man Nakazawa he lives down the street from Yokohama Budokan. And Nishikawa, Takuma Nishikawa are all from Yokohama. So there's strong local support. There's finally like enough people to make it happen, and enough other groups are running Yokohama Budokan and doing not so good crowds to make it. If we go and do 2000, it's a good crowd. Not going and doing 2000 and it's horrific. I think the business parameters have changed enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, and with how things are in like the greater Tokyo area, Yokohama made the most sense for the next like big show. I know that for sometimes with like newer Dragongate fans, they go like, "Oh, this company does not treat Tokyo like the rest of the companies treat Tokyo. Why don't they run Sumo Hall?"
We're not from Tokyo. That's
right.
Why.
Right. So like, unless they were going to somehow do 2 days in Oda, which didn't make sense to me. Yokohama with all those hometown guys, like it's where it makes sense, I guess, in my mind to have that in the show.
The only other step up is trading Ota for Yoyogi, but it's not that big of a step up. It's just a nicer venue that's easier to get to. In terms of crowd size, you can put the same amount of people in there. It's just a nicer venue. That's why I would rather be Yoyogi, because it's easier to get to.
Let's talk about business real quick. Well, obviously we want to talk about Kobe World with you a ton, and the English commentary stuff that you've been doing on the Dragongate Network and Dragongate YouTube channel. But you were on right before Dead or Alive. I always appreciate your perspective on the business side of things in Japan more than anybody, because I you live there and you know what's up, and it's just very interesting listening to you there. What did you think of, first of all, the Dead or Alive number? They did 2,700 in Aichi, which was slightly up over 2022. And any bright spots in business since the last time we talked, or is it still just relatively dire all the way around?
Oh man, things are rough all over. I think what did I say when I was on here last about Nagoya? What did I say? I think I said I wanted 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the number was up year over year. The crowd was a good crowd in terms of, they were receptive, they were hot for everything. It was a good show. Wasn't a disappointing number. I would have liked it to be higher, but I mean the state of business in Japan is what it is right now. Unless you're doing a super show or somebody's retiring, you're not breaking, or you're New Japan, you're not breaking. Breaking 3,000 is really, really a pipe dream unless you've got, like I said, unless you're doing a collaborative show or somebody's retiring or you've got, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, you've got Okada in your main event.
And even then, Okada's not, well, in terms of other business around, May was pretty good. Numbers are up, but it's, like this time last year, we were still under restrictions. There was no cheering. It was still half capacity in a lot of places. So in terms of being up year over year from, last year there were all these restrictions, and now it's total free for all. They're not up like you would imagine, but that's not unique to us. That's unique to everybody, even New Japan. I think it was right before Dontaku last time we talked, and I think at the time we talked, Dontaku had already sold out, and like I think I said, sell out in Fukuoka before COVID was 65, 66, almost 7,000 people, and their 2 weeks in advance sellout was 45 now. So that's the reality in Japan.
Yeah, and it's something that I think Dontaku kind of has to be put off to the side when they then went to Osaka Joe and got 7,000. It's I to me at least, things have become, the reality has come very clear that anyone who was expecting like this great boom back to like doors are open and then everyone like full business, that's just not reality, and you
Yeah,
can't make up for 3 years of
and
business being what it was. Like
and New Japan being the market leader is going to get everybody back. New Japan, it's not going to trickle down from New Japan. Like the rest of us, we've got to build our audience back, and we can't bank on getting old fans back. We've got to make it interesting enough to get new people watching, and that's not just Dragongate. I mean, that's everybody. Women's wrestling has to ban photography. Watch out, because I mean that's on the table, and if they do, I mean that's God. I mean they're not going to do it because they would die, but like.
Are those serious discussions that are being had? I admittedly am very not focused on the Joshi world right now.
I talked to someone in Stardom, and we were kind of talking about what because they were like they didn't really understand what the issue was, because it's like you can go on Twitter for any fandom, whether it be wrestling, music, or idols, or movie, celebrities, and there's going to be creep shots of everybody. You watch you go to the Dragongate hashtag. Let's see. Okay, hashtag Dragongate. What comes up here?
I have seen some Madoka Kakuta photos that I would certainly raise an eyebrow at.
Yeah, okay, so I've got one here. I'm looking, there's one of Hyo, and it's Hyo from the chest up. But like the comment attached to it is like, like his physique is great. He's working really hard. So then if you go and you look at whatever women's wrestling hashtag, and it's going to be like a super hyper zoom 10 billion megapixel close up of someone's crotch tagging the wrestler or saying let me smell it or something like that, because they can't, because women's wrestling fans in Japan, that's just how they are. That's how men are. They take things too far. There was that old Chappelle Show sketch. It was like they made that movie What Women Want. They couldn't make a What Men Want because what they think is gross and awful. Because it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But anyway, that's a side tangent. Yeah, it's going to be tough. We got, that's what we've got, and like I said, you need something. So we've got Takahashi coming. I mean, Keno's there. Shingo's going to be there. I mean, there's a cage match, and that's what you have to do now. Like you can't, if you put in a lackluster card, you're going to get rewarded for it. There is no, and this is everybody in Japan right now. There is no coasting on brand recognition.
Are there any markets that when Dragongate goes, they're like, all right, we feel good about this. We could put X number of people here and it's going to be worth our while. Anywhere that feels good, or is it just an eternal struggle throughout the country?
I mean, like you said, Nagoya has been good recently. I mean, with Kento gone, I don't know what the percentage of what kind of hit that's going to be. I mean, there was we did 4 digits in Nagoya Congress Center in March. So kind of the litmus test is going to be this one coming up in August. If it's 750 people, then yeah, all 250 people that Kento brought to the venue with him for his debut show are no longer coming to the shows. Korakuen's not bad. I mean,
no, it's certainly better than others.
Right. I mean, we've been ahead in the sense that we're one of the only companies that can do 4 digits in Korakuen pretty regularly. We can't do 4 digits on back-to-back days. Like we found that out now, but a lot of other promotions are still struggling to reach 1,000, and I think some of the other groups are starting to catch up with it. So now it's on us to do something to make it consistently 12 or consistently 13, because 1400 is the sellout in 2023, not 2300 like it was in 2005, not 1850 like it was before COVID. It's 1400 and change now, maybe 1500 max. So it's the goal is by the end of the year to get consistently to 1500 with the people we have now. So let's
Do you know if
happens.
Corkin's cheaper with the 1400, 1500 setup, or is it just the reality that no one's bothering putting 1800 seats there?
Well, it's the reserved seats, like the bleacher seats, the orange seats. That's where like the 11 or 1200 of it is. Everything extra comes from chairs on the floor. And
Okay.
also in the past there was standing room. Like you could put people in the balcony for standing room, and there's no standing room anymore. Which is weird because if there was standing room, I don't know where we would go because we're in the balcony.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, the opposite side balcony is totally empty, and that was usually the side that was more full. Anyway, yeah, I think we're still a long way from every standing room being a regular thing for not just us but most groups.
Are you aware? Because I knew that there was at least scuttlebutt about this during like 2020, 2021 with rental fees being massively slashed. I heard like Budokan was like a third of the price. Have they reverted back to 2019 rent, or is it something that we'll start seeing people like reassess when things go back to full rate if they want to go run some of these places and do abysmal?
Well, I mean, the companies that are running huge venues and doing abysmal are the ones that are willing to lose money to have the public facing side of, we're running Sumo Hall, we're running, I don't know, what are the other venues, we're running Osaka Joe Hall, or we're running this venue. I mean, they're money pits, and they're willing, they're doing it knowing they're going to lose money, knowing that they're going to draw terribly. But you splurge on production, you splurge on guests, and
splurge on a DJ set, maybe, if you're a certain promotion.
It does jack shit for the future of your promotion, but you're willing to lose money. And look, if you're a casual person watching, that's what's going to catch your eye. So, I mean, it's not a bad business strategy if you can afford to lose the money. The cyber fight groups can afford to do it because they've got the horse girl racing game that makes billions of dollars. And, if you lose $28 million in a year, then it's a drop in the bucket. You release a summer variant on a popular character and you make it back in 15 minutes. It's, it's not, other groups don't have that luxury, but, is what it is. And yeah, a Friday afternoon or Friday evening Sumo Hall show with 6 weeks notice is quite the business venture.
I knew it was soon. I did not realize it was an afternoon show.
Well, I mean, it's like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., but it's a weekday. It's a Friday weekday and I live, if I walk to the end of my street, I can see Sumo Hall, and I'll probably be asleep, as has become the pattern.
Not gonna make the trek down there for that show.
And if I see Yoshino wandering around the train, I'll throw him some change. Do you guys think he's coming back?
Has that become kind of a rumor?
Are you guys watching his YouTube?
I knew he
not
launched
watching
it.
that YouTube.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he's broke, and I mean, I don't know, man. I think he could do it.
I have a Yoshino question, since we're venturing into this ballpark, and I don't know if I don't know if you can say anything, but it seemed like for so long, especially post-split, that everything that has come Ryo Saito's way was going to be Masato Yoshino's role. Is that true? Did something change? What all happened with the power structure with Yoshino specifically?
I don't know the story. I mean, yeah, we all thought it was going to be Yoshino, right? But whatever. Saito got picked, and that's really all I know. I mean, that's all I know. I know that there was a conscious decision to pick Saito, and there was no financial situation being what it is. There was no position for Yoshino. I mean, there was no money to give him like a commissioner spot. Like the way, I mean, Gawara does commentary, so there's no, and they don't do, I mean, commentary English and Japanese. There's one person and then a guest wrestler. I mean, that's how it's been for a decade now.
Yeah,
So,
and it hasn't, and like Ichikawa does a lot of stuff for Gawara. He's not a dedicated Dragon Gate guy, to my knowledge.
yeah, he does. He does a lot of combat sports in general. I mean, he does Stardom, he does Noah, he does Formula Racing, he does sumo. I mean, he's like real professional sports broadcaster.
Yeah, whenever the F1 GP was back in Japan for the first time since COVID, I was like glued to his Twitter account just from what he was posting. Like it's kind of fascinating like that with him. But I guess like when as like things kind of shaked out with Saito versus Yoshino, I kind of it's something that now that we see Saito now 2 years coming up under the role and how things are and how things were and how things are in the other place, it makes a lot more sense that if you're looking at continuity with Cyrio within whatever G something is up to, like that's a mess. But who knows who's really we can't really say that's Yoshino's mess though.
Well, I mean, Yoshino's totally separate. He lost his money in Pyramid Scheme. He needs money. Shima helped him out. Period. That's all it is. And there's no, Dragon Gate has no money. They can't afford, unless he comes back as a wrestler, there's nothing for him to do. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, what's going on over there though is the Glade boss Suzuki wanted to do traditional pro wrestling mixed with UWF style. Shima came in. Those guys are the only real drawing cards they have. Shima says, we're doing it my way or we're leaving. They're the only drawing cards they have. He won the power struggle, so they do. That's why it's partly decades old Dragon Gate stuff mixed with 3 decades old UWF stuff in a baffling women's division. That's,
yeah.
And it doesn't make money, but they're willing to lose money because they have money.
Yeah.
That's just, and okay, here's the thing. And I don't want to guilt trip people on this, but if you are someone that legitimately cares about Dragon Gate and is interested in, the success, the future of Dragon Gate, this is one of those things where you probably shouldn't be supporting the other place because they are making a concerted effort to put the company out of business. So, yeah, and look, and we certainly, this is where I switch between saying we and they. They are certainly willing to give them the pieces to do it. If Eita decided to walk in a year or whenever his contract is up, they could put RED back together in Glade at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If Yoshino comes back, they could put Doyoshi back together. I mean, it's, I don't know. Let me just go on my Kento and Fujiwara spiel here because people are probably going to expect me to say something about this.
I was going to ask. I will give you the runway now.
Okay, give me your question then. What's your
I just want to know what your thoughts were on it.
Okay, I mean it sucks, right? First, there's been a lot of, I guess, reductionist takes about it once the news came out. And well, why can't they fire these guys for this or that sort of thing? And that's not the story. So the story, I mean, yes, there was and again, I'm going to use the careful language here. There was an alleged contract violation at the end of last year, and they were not released because of the alleged contract violation. The alleged contract violation was settled. They were punished for that when they disappeared from Mexico. the end of January, whatever it was. They were pulled back. You're suspended. You're going to have to come back in March to renew your visa anyway, so you guys are on ice until then. They were around. I saw Kento at Champion Gate. He was there watching the show in a hoodie with the hood up with a mask on, sunglasses on, because no one could know he was there. And I talked to him and I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Well, this is going on, but we're gonna get through it." But the trust, or whatever, the mutual, I don't know, what's the word you use? The
relationship.
The relationship between the two sides, it was irreparable at that point. And I don't know if it was, okay, well then you guys are fired, or you can't fire us because we quit, or what it was, but there was no coming back for it. Like, there was a back and forth. They really did try to work it out, but neither side could do it. Contracts were up at the end of April, and that's it. They didn't come back. I mean, like, I thought that it was going to be announced right after Nagoya. It wasn't. I was hoping that there was a positive reason for that, but then, once they went back to Mexico on their own, it was like, well, at this point the news is going to get out. They need to hurry up and announce this, and they were late on announcing it, so the gossip got out. But it is what it is. Fujiwara was only around for 6 months, and in terms of impact on the card, there's no impact because they've both been gone for a year. It's not like Ishida last year where he vanished in the middle of a tour and in the middle of an angle where Gold Class are turning heel and he's gone. Suddenly the guy that was spearheading it is gone. It's not like that. And so things will move on in the ring. Where this is a problem, and where I was really upset about this at the start, is I think this is a big blow to fan trust, in the sense that, okay, in 2005, Sua left, Aganiso left, Milano left, and you're wondering, God, what's going on backstage at this company? But it didn't matter because everybody's young. All the guys are still 26 years old, and everything going on in the ring is super interesting. Magnum leaves in 2007, same story. Everything that happens in 2009, same story. Everything that's going on in the ring is still interesting. Matches are great. Everything is good. I'm enjoying all the doubts I have about what's going on backstage. When I look what's going on the stage, I don't think about that. And it's getting increasingly hard to do that. If you're, Dragongate right now, it's, generation change, and, the future is bright and all that. So if you're someone maybe that's not interested in what's going on, if you were an Ishida fan, or if you're an Eita fan and you're sticking around and you're watching Dragongate because Eita shows up from now and then, and you like some of these other guys, and you're kind of trading on the knowledge that the future is bright. Maybe you're not happy with what's going on right now, and like, God, on all the unit battlefield is shallow and this, that. But when these guys come back, they're going to come back and they're going to shake things up, and it's going to be great. So I'll hold out and I'll continue supporting until then. And now they're not coming back, and that can be a jumping off point for a lot of people. And I think that that more than replacing these two guys, Fujiwara, a great high flyer. We've got Tanaka. Tanaka can do everything that he can do, and he's better looking. I mean, but that's not, it'd be much better to have both. But there's going to be a high flyer moving up to replace him. Kento has got the big push, and he has all this, and he was anointed for various reasons. But he was still, whatever, we can move on without him. He held all these championships. We could do the same thing. We could take Fuda and we could make him Brave Gate champion, Triangle Gate champion, and have him break up Natural Vibes, and it's the same push Kento got, and now it's Fuda's. That stuff can be replaced easily, because that's all stuff that's happening in the ring. It's the fan trust is what I'm most concerned about with this story. And Because of that, World needs to be really fucking good. Period.
Yeah, I guess like for me and with like the overall situation, like it was something that like the fan connection is. I wonder with how with Nagoya being the way it is, and like how you mentioned like what's going to happen in August with that because of that short term, and with like a place like Nagoya where they focused very implicitly on making it Kento's town. That's where I wonder if it's going to be more felt in like traditional like, well, it's his hometown show like Congress Center, and then it could very easily be like, as you were saying before, 750 instead of
Yeah.
1,000.
Well, Kento. It's not that Kento was a draw. It was that Kento had a lot of sponsors. So
Right. He had that jacket that for someone who had 18 months in the business should not have had all those signs on it.
So this is, for people that maybe when they think draw in pro wrestling still kind of think of he's attractive to fans, so he draws fans because people are attracted to his ability. It's not that. It's he had sponsors that bought tickets from him and came to the show because they were family associates or associates from his amateur wrestling days or whatever the associates were. And that means they were not wrestling fans or Dragongate fans to begin with. They were associates who came to the show. When when those guys left in 2018 and attendances dropped in Kobe, it's because of all of the business associates of the former president were no longer coming to the shows because they weren't coming for wrestling, they weren't coming for Dragongate, they were coming because it was a business transaction. And this is, again, this is not just a Dragongate thing, and this is a Japanese pro wrestling thing. And we've got UT. UT still has a lot of sponsors. We're close to Gifu, so like Kimata and all those guys from kind of that area do really, and Ultimo Dragon is from there. Not that we have Ultimo Dragon homecoming shows or anything like that, but he's also from Nagoya, so it's not like not like we don't have people from the area anymore, but it's just interesting to see how many of Kento's sponsors don't come to the show anymore. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the other thing is, and I think this is kind of getting more into us versus them sort of thing now, is I've seen a lot of fans are upset about them starting a YouTube channel and like leaving in this manner, and then just kind of like, okay, we're in Mexico now and we're doing all this stuff, watch us. And there's a lot of people who've been around that kind of remember of the second half of May videos from Shanghai about how much fun everyone was having that lasted about 6 weeks. Then everybody wasn't having fun anymore, and it stopped being interesting. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with these guys. The other thing about this that I wanted to bring up is we were talking about the business aspects of what's going on in Japan right now. Okay, how can I say this? So sending your guys on excursion is not necessarily a great idea anymore, because wrestling in Japan is pretty shitty still right now. I mean, we're coming off of years of clap crowds. We still have crowds that don't know how to react. Buildings are half full, blah, blah, blah. You go to Mexico and there's, you're in a abandoned parking lot somewhere, and there's, the place is crowded with 1,000 people screaming, great atmosphere, the money's good. In the US, I mean, look, fucking DDT lost Takeshita and his wife and Sakazaki to AEW, and because Takeshita went over to take a break and became a superstar, now he's gone. Uemura left New Japan because Money and Impact was better than coming back and getting young boy salary in New Japan. I mean, like, sending guys overseas, they might not come back, and that's what happened here. And that's another thing that happened, in the sense that, well, if we go to Mexico, the money's going to be better anyway, so let's just fucking go to Mexico.
That struck me watching Fujiwara's first. It was maybe his first, if not one of his first 3 matches in Mexico. It was the first time he had wrestled in front of a crowd that made noise, and
Yeah.
you could almost see like a physical transformation take place where he soaked it because he was so good from the start. I know you didn't watch any of his stuff in Mexico, but I don't think it would surprise you to say he got it. He got it immediately, and you could see this like, oh, his eyes lit up. He's like, oh, this is what a crowd sounds like. And given the events of the last few months, it's not surprising.
Yes.
Given that he was going from a cold building in Fukuoka, let's say, to now this atmosphere.
Yes, exactly. And that's the same and then you tack on better money. And, I mean, I talk to Ho-Ho and I have this conversation all the time. And, Ho-Ho's about his money, above all else. Ho-Ho wants to get paid. And, he's always talking about, I can go to the US and I can work, 2 shows in a weekend or 6 shows in a month and make more money because the pay is good right now in the US for, US wrestling is in a boom. I mean, I don't from a certain aspect, but I mean, like, indies do well. You can go and indies are drawing a lot. They're paying a lot. It's, like we've been joking, Shun's going over for a couple weeks after, I don't know, sometime, I think in September.
Yeah.
He's going over, and we're like, gotta make sure he comes back. keep an eye on his lock down his account so he doesn't cancel his return flight. Make sure he comes back.
It's something where, like we talked about, how Japan did not have the bounce back in a lot of ways, at least for where like indies are. It bounced back faster or a little bit stronger than I think we were anticipating, and I can see like that is like just compare and contrast like how appealing that is. It feels like I know that these are individual people with their own motivations, but it does feel like that if we take it back and you look at other people on excursions with Dragongate and what happened soon after, or what they go to America, become an Americophile. It seems like that Dragongate more so that I mean, Uemura is one for New Japan, but like it seems like Dragongate kids on excursion, they end up taking really soaking it in a whole lot more, and it more often than not it does seem like, at least comparatively, you see the wrestlers leave to go work in the places they did the excursion.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Tozawa. I mean, he went to WWE though. I mean, like, that's like anybody is going to go to WWE. So that's a little different, but yeah. It's and there's also the byproduct now of it doesn't work the other way around. I think we've been talking about this for years now, and this was from the start of PWG really onward, the idea of getting a foreigner, getting someone like Pac or Ricochet to come over and become a Dragongate wrestler and live in the dojo for 3. I mean, we've got Diamante. He's the exception to the rule on this, but anyone that gets any sort of buzz on social media, you bring it, you spend, and this is, Glate has done this. They did it with Bandito and Commander, where they came over, they were buzzing, getting buzz on social media. They got brought over, spent a lot of money to bring them over to Japan to do a tour to get some buzz over here. They went back and they were all elite, and now they're not coming back. And that would be financially devastating to a lot of promotion. Any promotion that doesn't fall under the umbrella of what we were talking about earlier, of being willing to lose money to run a wrestling show, bringing in that level of foreigner. I mean, even New Japan, like, guys don't stay in the Tokyo Dome Hotel anymore like they used to. It's hard.
I think you said this on a podcast we did about a year ago, and there's no larger point to this. I'm only asking just for fact checking and clarification. But had you said that Kento had moved out of the dojo pretty soon after his debut, which is abnormal for a Dragongate rookie?
Yes, because he's Rich Boy. So
okay.
I mean, there's not really I'm surprised your Benkei actually still lives at the dojo.
He's still there? I thought he was like the dojo dad before COVID.
He's there, and like I guess his room is just like his bed and a giant TV.
That's awesome. What more do you need?
Yeah, I heard that he was like they were. So I was asking about who was moving out this year, and I was like, well, maybe Benkei will finally move out. I think was the conversation. So maybe he finally had to move out with all the young boys that came in.
Really embracing that Big Brother character he's been putting on lately. You know, he Big Brother doesn't want to leave home.
Yeah, he's a lunatic. He's. I think he needs to live in the dojo until he gets married, and the person he marries has to be like new
A
mother,
saint.
like
Yeah.
new mother, like it's like, and this is not unusual for Japanese men in that they have to live at home until they get married because they can't function living on their own. But like,
No, we just saw what happened when two people went to Mexico.
yeah, and
I'm glad Ben's in the dojo.
yeah, but I mean, even like at the average salary man level, like people live at home until they get married because the boys get taken care of by their mother, and then they get married, and then they have a new mother to take care of them for the rest of their life. So but yeah.
No wonder everyone gets really excited about the Luck cleaning products.
Yeah, actually, I just got another big box of stuff. I gotta do my summer cleaning.
Little unboxing video on the Dragongate YouTube channel, I hope.
Oh God. Yeah, so that's the segue. That's the segue, right? Let's talk about the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so starting this week, I know that you mentioned that this looks like that this is the current run of it. It was you, Ho-Ho, and Ginky getting together, recording English tracks with remastered from Masters, at least for the 2003 one, I could tell. But 3 big historical matches now up for free. At least 2 of them are, from what I can tell. The first ever 4-way 6-man tag from August 30th, 2003. The probably most famous disbands match of all time from Dangerous Great 2015, Mad Blanky versus Jimmy's. And then the last ever Dragon Gate match in Hakata Star Lanes, and perhaps one of its greatest matches in Star Lanes, the Dreamgate Championship Pack versus KZ from February of 2019. This has been like such like a cool thing. I know you talked about it briefly last time you were on, Jay, but this is like such a cool thing to see the company being willing to get into the archives, and then kind of like that with concert of the VOD rules changing with it. We're kind of seeing a little bit of a refresh to the network and the YouTube leading into Kobe World.
My work is done. Finally. No, it's essentially been myself and the producer Maeda. We've essentially been like, I want to do this. He's like, I don't know if we can do this. I'm like, can we do this? I don't know if we can do this. Can we do this? All right, I'll try. And so the on-demand rules, we'll talk about that first real quick. So the on-demand rules actually existed the way they were because in 2018 the company was still making DVDs. So the company wanted to sell DVDs. So that's why stuff got pulled down and it wasn't there forever, because if it's up there and people can watch it on the network, they're not going to buy the DVD. And that line of thinking didn't change when they stopped making DVDs because nobody thought about it. So, we talked, the previous producer was not interested in hearing anything about anything ever. And that's why he's not the producer anymore. But like the new producer, he was kind of new to being at that level, so he didn't really have the pull to be able to start making suggestions. But I got friendly with him, talked about games, got kind of a little more beyond the work relationship, and I'm just like, we need to do this. And he's like, all right, let me see. And then silently they changed the on-demand period to 2 weeks a couple months ago. I'm just like, hey, you changed it to 2 weeks. What changed? He's like, oh no, we're just doing an experiment. I'm like, you can do that? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, why don't you do it forever? And he's like, I don't know, let me check. So now it's a year, and it's a year because Amazon cloud storage is still kind of expensive. So having the smaller shows, the Korakuen shows, like anything that airs on TV will be there forever like it is now. But the smaller stuff, the stuff that was disappearing, the stuff like the Kobe shows, Fukuoka shows, things like that, those will be there for a year, so people have time to watch it. The price, we can't do anything about the price, because if you lower the price, it won't turn a profit anymore. And the website being shit, we can't do anything about the website being shit because it's a third-party vendor, and this is essentially the level of their engineering skill.
That is a bummer, because the video staying on the site longer is a huge win, but I always feel bad for somebody. I get hit with a lot of DMs of, I just signed up for the Dragongate Network and I can't find anything. And then I realize I'm so used to the website that I just know where everything is, but it's you compare it to Wrestle Universe, it's a different ball game, and it's not going in Dragongate's favor.
I mean, Wrestle Universe, Cyber Agent is a media company. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Shows. Fuck, that should be, if we get payback, if we get repayment for letting Yoshio be in their N1 tournament, the payback shouldn't be money. It should be, hey, have your fucking engineers make us a better app for the network.
That's a brilliant idea.
Shit, fuck, I'm not going to dox myself here, but I work for a major Japanese development company, and we have these Hackfest weeks where people are just free to do whatever they want. They just work on whatever is related to your skill, but do something that can help better yourself or help better the business. And we have this bounty. They have a bounty board where people can request features or things like that. I'm real tempted. I'm fairly certain one of our engineers, some of our developers, could make a better front end in 3 days.
I was so excited when I moved and got a new TV and I could pull up Dragongate Network on there. So if they want to get apps going, that's fine. Let's make sure it doesn't pull it from my TV.
It wouldn't be an app. It would be fix the fucking webpage.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, just make. It's a deeper archive than I think people realize, with some of the best spout stuff they've done and all the debut matches they have on there. But if you don't know that's there, you're not going to be able to find it.
Yeah, better searchability. But the group that builds the website is very, very big sponsor, and kind of beyond that, family friend type of relationship. So
that'll do it.
That'll do it. Yeah, they also do the Dragongate mobile, the mobile site, the subscription mobile site where you can go and get the comments and the wrestler comments and pictures and all that. And that site's fucking shit too. It's just low level technology. Their skill set has not increased since 2003 or whenever these old men learned how to code. They haven't learned how to code anything else since then.
And they took away Shockwave from them, so
yeah. Good.
So it's one of those things though that the network, I'm right now just scrolling down the main page on it, and I wonder how many people know that if you are a big fan of small room wrestling, there is a near 100 episode Dragongate series on that.
Yeah, or even if they're just looking for a Korakuen show, do they know to look under Infinity?
Yeah.
But baby steps, right? The biggest complaint was the shows are gone in a week. I don't have time to watch it because I've got to watch these 4 million other wrestling shows that are happening every single day of the week.
It's a huge win. It was met with positive response from everybody I saw, and a lot of people saying what you're saying of, I'll resubscribe now.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. And in terms of content, until I have an alleged contract violation, I'll do what I can. I don't have a contract. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's the other thing. I don't have a contract. So if I get hit, I talked about this in Nagoya. Hey, if I get struck by lightning, what happens? And they're I don't know. The idea of me dying has never occurred to them. The idea of me moving back to the U.S. has never occurred to them. So I don't know, but baby steps. We'll do what we can.
How did you land on the 3 matches that you chose to do English commentary for? I mean, they were great picks, but any specific reason why 8:30:03, Dangerous Gate 2015, and Pac versus KZ?
Well, I mean, like you said, about the 2015 match, it's the most famous unit disbands match of all time. So I think it was a no-brainer for that, and I think there was a lot of story to tell during that match. It's long. There's down points where you can kind of get in more to exposition and things like that. So I thought it was a good pick for that. The 4-way match is it's the best match of all time. So it made sense to make that available to people to kind of understand what was going on. Because if you tell somebody this is a great match, watch it, and they're gonna be like, okay, wait a minute, okay, these guys are dancing. There's this fashion model with an invisible dog, and there's these other guys, and then there's this guy in a mask, and he flipped on this one guy, but he handed him to the other guy. What's going on? And so I wanted to make that match a little more accessible to people. And then the Dreamgate match, I wanted to have a Pac match to hook people in because it's Pac and he's the most famous guy we've ever had. And I wanted that match to be the free one. Can we have one of these 3 matches be free? And let's have it be that one because that'll be the one that'll attract people to it. And they did the exact opposite. But
baby steps.
Baby steps is what it is, right?
How do you, I guess, how did you rather sort of balance going between play-by-play, but then also hindsight, historical anecdotes? It seems like doing matches, older matches for commentary seems like a hefty challenge.
Like I do everything in my professional life, show up on the day of with no preparation.
Well done.
Yeah. I had some stuff in my head. Okay, I want to talk about this. I need to talk about this. But then the 4-way, like, okay, I'm going to talk about this. I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this. And then the match started and I couldn't keep up. So I just kind of did whatever I could do. And then the Pac versus KZ match, I don't know if this got picked up or not. We were doing it before the second Korakuen show in June, and they started sound check right at the end of the match. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, because it's loud. So I was like panicking at the end of the match, just hoping it would end before like the real full sound check started and all the music started playing. But no, just ad lib and talk about whatever came to my mind when it was going on. I mean, most of the 3 matches were off the top of my head.
It sounded really good. I'm a big fan of it. I hope you guys continue to do some. I have 3 recommendations for future matches I would like to see. Can I throw those by you real quick?
I would love recommendations, please.
All right, Mike, if you have any, add them after me. But I would like to see you and Ho-Ho do Mochizuki versus Tozawa from 2011.
Okay.
Mochizuki versus Shingo 2015.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and then I think a match that you and I specifically really champion and enjoy more than just about anybody else, and it has current guys, which is why it's pre-English commentary, but still a lot of current guys. Yoshino Doi and Jason versus Hulk, KZ, and Yamato from Final Gate 2017.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, Case picked oh yeah, no, I see the logic there. You have the performance allegedly better than Shawn Michaels on any day. You have the Tozawa match. I think that might be one of my favorite Mochi matches in general. And then the that trios match. I would almost be like tempted, like, because of the chaos of these, and I always notice, at least whenever this happens around the around Dead or Alive, whenever they set those, I would almost think either the 2016 cage or the 2011 cage.
Yeah, and so I think the 2011 cage, I think, is something that a lot of people don't know happened.
Because that was the Osaka one, right?
Yeah, and that match is interesting because before the new generation was Doi, Yoshino, Hulk, Tozawa, Shingo, Yamato, it was the 6 guys in the cage match. Cyber Kong and Kagetora were picked for that. Like that match was new generation 6-way cage match. So it's interesting, and it's an interesting way to kind of compare to now. Like, maybe two of the Reiwa Six drop off and two people take their place. So yeah,
That
it's an interesting
2011
pick.
match is it's really hard to track down, but I like that pick because that was a match that helped me get really into Dragongate. See, I just talked about this last week, I think, but seeing that in 2013, 2014 was a big yo, I got to watch more of this promotion. I've never seen anything like this before.
Is it not on the network? It's gotta be on the network.
I don't know.
Osaka 2011. It's gotta be on here. Actually, you know what? It might not be.
I don't think it is.
Oh no, here it is. Yeah, it's here.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. Well, that makes me feel better then.
Gate Destiny 2000. What did this? God, this had a weird card. Shima and Ricochet versus Yoshino and Dragon Kid. Pac versus Horiguchi. Huh. How about that?
I like that Pac versus Horiguchi match. That's a good one.
Yeah, I was in Fort Hood in Texas on the day of the show, and me and my high school friend that I used to skate with in high school, I went down there and saw him, and we're hanging out, and we're like, shit, we don't have anything in common besides skateboarding, and I hadn't skated in 10 years at that point. He's like, well, I still skate. You want to skate? I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. And we went fucking bombing hills that night, and then I went and I bought a setup. The next day we went street skating, and then I flew home while the show was going on, and I remember I had a connecting flight, and I was sitting there refreshing in the airport lobby waiting for the results of this match.
And what a match it was.
Yeah, and then getting home and waiting for Wrestling Bay to upload the torrent so I could watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at this card right now. Forgot that this was during that one of the two Brody Lee tours.
Yeah, so Brody Lee and Takayama.
Yeah. That's the 2011 is because this is Yamato losing his hair and everyone realizing he had big ears.
Yes, he does have big ears.
Yeah, like that. That's now always become the thing that whenever Yamato's in a survival cage, I go, I don't think Yamato can lose. We've lived through that, and we don't need him to fly away with his ears.
Yeah. Okay. Any other recommendations? Anything else that you want to see?
I feel bad for you having to call it. I'd almost think Dia Hearts versus Monster Express versus that would have been Berserk. Yeah.
That's for the February 2016 Corkin match.
Okay, so that was Dia Hearts getting disbanded?
Right, yeah.
God, I don't remember that at all. I was there.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite Dragon Gate matches of all time.
I think it's probably one of the better, elimination rules ones, because it's probably a good thing that they've dropped doing elimination rules and all the different variants of that. But I felt like that one, even more so than the 7-on-7 Junction 3 Blood Warriors disband match, I think that one kind of got the revive and the idea of the elimination rules better than previously.
I remember Dia Hearts lost. I don't remember anything else about that match.
That was the one that had the pretty famous Yoshino standing in front of Sachi. Or no, Sachi taking the bullet for Yoshino.
This is 2006, February 2016?
Yeah, February 4, I think.
Yeah, how about that?
Because after that, they had the original Jimmy's versus Amigo tag. That was tremendous there. That was one of my favorite Corkin tag matches until this year.
That was the only Corkin Hall show I missed after moving to Japan. The one with
really?
That. Yeah, I had, because that was, what was the date? The exact date? It was April. It was first week of April, right? It was April.
But was the Amigo tag, was that 2015 or 2016?
2015.
Yeah.
Oh, that was 2015, yeah.
Yeah, the Twin Gate title match, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I started Japanese school that day, and I was just like, God, fuck it, I can't go to this. I didn't go. It was the only I had been to the one in March the previous month. I moved to Japan in end of February, and started going to shows immediately as soon as I got here. And then the day I moved to Japan was the Act Yasukawa Yoshiko match.
Oh, the Ghastly Mask?
Yeah, because I had a friend of mine was working in Stardom at the time, and she just sent me a text. She's like, something happened today. Are you here yet? I'm like, yeah. What happened? But anyway, yeah, I didn't go to this. This is the only show I didn't go, and it was like the best match of that year in Cork and Hall, and I didn't see it. And it was Yoshino working for. It was an incredible performance from Yoshino because he essentially had no partner in that match.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I just
that is one to think of because that's a great performance from all those guys.
Yeah, because Kagetora playing main in that match was something special as well. Well, we talked about cage matches. We should probably talk about Kobe World main eventing with the
Cage match.
return of the Steel Cage Survival match, Mascara contra Mascara 5-way match, Ultimo Dragon versus Strong Machine J versus Shun Skywalker versus Diamante versus Dragon Kid. I guess the first and foremost thing to talk about is this is main eventing over the Dreamgate. Only the second time in Kobe World history that the Dreamgate is not main eventing.
Well, one thing I'll say is people that don't know, people that weren't there when it happened would probably struggle to think of what the other occurrence was because the Dreamgate match was that good that night.
True.
And that is what that's what Yoshioka and Kikuta have to do. I mean, they have to be that good. You know, they can't go out and have an okay match. Like they have to be. There's an intermission afterwards that people can come down and people can have a cigarette, whatever they need to do, but it needs to be a match that makes people want to go and have a cigarette while the cage is being put up. And that's it. And I mean, obviously, logistically, it can't be anything else but the cage match unless you put the cage match on first.
Yeah, before they had the full lineup, I was trying to, in my mind, try to find a way where they could rationalize getting away with a one intermission show and not have the cage match lead off. And the best I could do is, well, you could have it come back from intermission, have the cage set up, and then have a lot of VTRs to break it down before the Dreamgate, and then you're still having that come down. So
it takes a long time to take the cage down. So, like, you need WWE money where you can lower it from the ceiling if you want to do that, and it's just not possible. And you know, I feel bad for Yoshio and Kikuta on that sense, but look, pressure. It's a pressure situation, and they have to deliver. So, like, I do wish when I found out there was going to be a cage match, I said, "Oh man, I wish the Kobe World, the Dreamgate match should go on last." But it's set, can't change it now. So no sympathy for me. You have to go out and deliver. You have to have a great match because if you don't, then that big speech you gave at the end at Dead or Alive means jack shit.
I think they can do it. You know, I was really excited. I mean, you know, the Dead or Alive match between Kikuta and Shun, that's, you know, probably my match of the year that isn't Omega versus Ospreay at this point. And I love the post-match promo. And from that moment onward, I said, okay, Kikuta versus Yoshioka at World needs to be the move. I think that's the biggest singles match they have. It's two guys who feel like they have a ton of momentum. Even with Yoshioka losing a lot this year, he's so good that it only takes him a show or two to feel like he's important again. And then they booked the match in Osaka, and I said, here we go. This is what they should do. And I have been utterly baffled by the build ever since. Now, we're not in this danger territory like where we were with Minoru last year, where, you know, the three of us completed the most depressing podcast ever last July en route to World and the Ultimo Anniversary show. I love this card on paper, and I'm excited for this Dreamgate match. I think they're going to crush it, but am I on an island here, Jay, where I think the build with them continuing to team together and really at times not even have friendly fire, you know, not even have tension, has been a little weird?
Well, I mean, it plays up the side of, you know, if you're going to say you're a generation leader, that you need to be prepared to do whatever you need to do. And it doesn't need to be personal. There doesn't need to be that sort of stakes attached to it. The Dreamgate is what's important. And if you have an opportunity for the Dreamgate, you're going to go and you're going to fight to win. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do Shun Skywalker antics in between the match. You know, it's like we're on the same unit. There's no problems between us, but if you're laying the belt down when the time comes, I'm going to hit you. And is that enough? I don't know. I mean, I could see the people, if people feel that the build is lacking because of that, I do understand. And again, that's they have to deliver. That's all it is. I mean, I'm holding stuff back for commentary.
Well,
I can't.
I just
I can't. Y'all got to buy the album. This is just the mixtape.
I was of the belief. I made the point on this podcast. I said, the angle for this match is simply the match announcement. I think that's big enough to justify this match happening. But I would have assumed we would have had more stuff like the Korakuen match where it was, Kakuta and Dragon Kid versus Yoshioka and Daya in, some sort of either they're going to team against one another or they're going to be kept apart. Because I looked through the same unit Dreamgate matches and I felt like the most accurate historical comp was Shingo and Yamato in 2010 when they were both on Kamikaze. And if you look at the build of that match, they're not in the ring with one another, period, for the most part. There's one Kamikaze versus Kamikaze tag that I think was in Kyoto, and then they're not in the ring with one another other than that. And I would have preferred that to, like, hey, we got a great D-Courage versus Vibes match, but who cares? Because Kakuta and Yoshioka are acting like they don't have a Dreamgate match in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the TV stuff, let's see. Okay, they teamed here. Yeah. I mean, I can see that. But at the same time, they're not Z-Brats. They're not Shin Skywalker. They're not, someone that would take advantage of a situation to do something like that. Like, it's two guys that are going to go out and have a great performance when the time comes. There doesn't need to be tension to get there. I mean, that's the idea. Whether it works or not, again, I hope it does. Again, this 2-week gap of no net. I mean, let's see what they do on July. Let's see what they do on July 1st. Because we don't have a card for that yet. I mean, they could do something there, and it's the day before the show.
Yeah,
is Dragongate in a situation? Sorry, Mike, it was real quick because he brought up July 1st. Is Dragongate in a position where if they have like a great July 1st show, do you think that'll impact the walk up at all for July 2nd?
Might. I mean, it could. I mean, you don't know. I mean, it's Kobe. I mean, I don't know what the angle. I have no idea what they're going to do on this show. I mean, aside, they're going to have Ishin's weigh in, and maybe they pick the rookie team for.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Nothing's announced other than Ishin's weigh in.
Yeah, I mean, where are we? We're in probably after Sendai on Monday. We'll get cards for that. Because, I mean, they're just treating it like a regular show. They're just kind of assuming people are going to be in town. People are coming to the meet and greet anyway. So they're going to be in Kobe. They're going to come to Kobe Arts Center. So may as well try and have a wrestling show beforehand. Because it's kind of a shit venue anyway, and there's space for a wrestling ring. So you might as well put the wrestling ring up and have a wrestling match.
It's something that, thinking about it that way, it makes total sense doing that. I mean, if you look at like the Hokkaido trips and you look at the Okinawa shows, it's like, well, they're going to be here. We might as well do that. And
yes.
it has like a familiarity now that I'm like really thinking about it. Is not completely dissimilar to how with like big show weekends in the States, at least All Out was this way for the last few years. Okay, so always heard me complain about there's not enough copycat or piggyback shows going there. You get a piggyback for, I guess, for maybe people come in a day early to Kobe World. They'll be on Saturday, so make a weekend of it.
Yeah, I mean, and there used to be shows at the Sanctuary Building. There would be like a next show on Friday, meet and greet on Saturday, or next show in the morning, meet and greet at night, and then World the next day. There used to be that traditionally, and then, they would have stopped doing it after the Sanctuary Building closed. So that would have been, after they left the Sanctuary Building. So after COVID.
Yeah, and it's with Kakuta and Yoshioka, with that July 1st kind of being the last thing. I've been a little bit more high on the build. I really liked in Okinawa when they had them on opposite sides, had one of them team with Natural Vibes and the other one teaming with Gold Class. I thought that was kind of like a nice little wrinkle to add to it. So if there is something where it's like, okay, Yoshioka teaming with I don't know, Ben and Hulk doing like the Twin Gate challenge, and then have on the other side Kakuta and Susumu and Kanda on the first, I would feel like that's totally fine to do that.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things I hated about Yoshioka's reign were all those matches where they made him team with Hyo.
Yeah.
I thought that all fucking sucked. So like, I'm perfectly fine with them just being D-Courage. Hey, Daya, what corner are you standing in? I mean, this is where D-Courage needs more members, because if they had 2 more people, they could do a all D-Courage 6-man tag or something like that. So, I mean, this is where the improvement it doesn't necessarily need to be in the build. The improvement needs to be in how they're structuring units, because I mean, you could do Yoshio and Daya against Dragon Kid and Kikurai, which I feel like they've done.
They did at Korakuen.
Yeah. Okay, that's.
And I thought they might add Dragon Kid to D-Courage. What was that, in May? I think post Ray Day Parejas. I thought they might go on that route, but they did not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I mean, plans that existed in April and on April 30th, and plans that exist on May 1st are totally different for obvious reasons. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do going forward. And everybody's injured. All the young guys are injured. Kato's injured, Nagano's injured, Daiki's injured, Junior's injured. So there's like, even if they did want to do something with the young guys, they can't, because everybody's hurt right now.
Yeah, I feel like that. Like, speaking of the rookies, I look at that rookie selection team, and there's no way I thought it was going to have Tanaka ahead of time, but with the current IL being what it is, it's just like, well, time for Tanaka to jump his seniors. They've already clearly have all this planning around him, but now with the injury situation being what it is, like, it will be like Tanaka and Fuda, because those are the 2 guys who are cleared in time.
Yeah, it basically, if Junior can wrestle, it'll be Tanaka and Junior. If Junior's not cleared, but Daiki is, it'll probably be him. If Daiki's not cleared, they'll ask the doctor again, and if he still says no, then it'll be Fuda.
God, Fuda, I still hold out so much hope for him. I mean, it's, you know, he seems to have caught in every bad break possible, but it was the Okinawa shows. He made the tour, and I was like, oh God, I still really like the base that this guy has. I just wish he could elevate himself somehow.
You know why he went to Okinawa, right?
No.
Okay, so on the fan tour, if you apply for the fan tour, there's the part where the wrestler comes to your hotel room, and you can talk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. And he got write-in votes. So
really?
They had to bring him on the tour because someone wanted him.
Hey,
yeah, I get it. I obviously loved his debut match, and then, you know, he got saddled with Akuda and things went south because he got saddled with Akuda. But
it's the other way around. You know, Okuda was his hero, and Okuda took care of him. Okuda took care of him, and then when he had his alleged contract violation and he was gone, Fuda kind of paid for being Okuda's boy, and also the fact he came back early from the broken sternum and broke his sternum again, and then had to miss time, and then now his knees. But he's had a lot. The kid's been hurt. The kid's been hurt for almost 14 months now. He just hasn't been able to get it together.
And I can't think of very many injuries that like is like inconvenient, like a sternum. You know, just like you can't take a deep breath for like all of that. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, you can't get chopped in the chest, which is like majority of what these kids got to do when they're training is get chopped in the chest. And you know, I feel really, the thing about him is like he's got his homecoming show. He sells a lot of tickets in his hometown. Speaking of, you know, people that have, you know, local sponsors and are big draws in their local area, Fuda is a big draw in Sendai. So he's got his T-shirt, and like they don't even give him a nickname. Like, his nickname is the name of the song, is the name of the Dragongate Future song. So like it's not even a unique nickname. It's just the name of the song that all the rookies come out to is his fucking nickname. It's on the T-shirt, and it's just like, damn, change it to Future Dragon at least.
Yeah, at least make him the 5th generation Mr. High Tension. If
the idea Ho-Ho and I have that he should be Kung Fu Da, and he be
Okay.
Shit, that's a good idea.
or Super Shenlong 4 is the other idea that but the Fu in Kung Fu is the Fu in Ryu Fuda.
Yeah, you got to. Now.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean it's only in Kobe, and it's like the other thing, like World, there's Ho-Ho's in the dark match, so I mean that would give some reason to come out to the Kung Fu Masters entrance music and have a Kung Fu Masters thing, because the other guys are going to be with doing natural vibe stuff. So
totally, yeah.
Yeah, just do it. Give and if it gets over, it gets over, and if not, it's just a local comedy thing anyway.
And they need another Shenlong anyways.
Yeah, I mean just putting Super Shenlong 4 on the card announced a week ahead of time, and have people wonder who's it going to be, and then he shows up all tanned, and everybody knows who it is. And it doesn't need to. And he wrestles as himself everywhere else.
Yeah,
and you make no mention of it until the time. And if he gets over as Shenlong 4, then fine. That's what you want.
Yeah, if he's over as Shenlong 4, then that's much more over than he's ever going to be struggling to get on cards.
Exactly. So that was the other idea was Shaolin Soccer. Was Nagano joining Kung Fu Masters as Shaolin Soccer.
Oh,
both these have legs.
Nagano doesn't need. I think Nagano's fine on his own. I don't think he needs Kung Fu Masters. So
yeah,
I'm big stock. Holding all my stock in Ryu Fuda, because if I get disappointed, because I'm not. If nothing happens, I'm not going to be disappointed, because I don't really have. I really truly am pulling for the kid, because I feel bad for him because of the circumstances. But yeah, I hope that with the current situation being down 2 more young guys, they finally get over whatever it was. If he says he's healthy, I talked to him in Cork, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, I'm 100%. I'm like, really? I looked at him like, you're lying, right? And he's like, nope, 100%, I promise. So if he really is 100%, put the guy on cards, because I would much like fucking Punch is injured now, and he has to miss this weekend, and they put Kimata in his spot. Put Fuda in the spot.
Dude, I should know, but I don't. Is Fuda on the Mochizuki show? Because if not, he should be.
Well, instead of Punch, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because Punch is in like kind of a cool match, but it's not going to be cool because Punch is in it.
Yeah, but it's kind of a meme thing, like him and the Kawamura dude. Like Kawamura just beats the shit out of Punch every time they're in the ring together, and it's like people enjoy seeing Punch get the shit kicked out of him. Yeah, no, it's Fuda is not on this card. It's Benkei, Rita, and Punch versus Sato Ito and Kawamura.
Yeah.
He's talented. I really like him. I hope he's healthy, and I hope he can do something relevant this year, because every time I watch him, I'm around, I'm like, oh man, there's a reason I liked his debut match so much. He's really talented.
Yeah, oh man, he should be in KOG and not Punch, like Jason said. Like Jason said on commentary, when he was like, when they showed BB Hulk versus Punch, and the crowd was like, yeah. Like if that was Hulk versus Fuda, I mean, they could kick for a while, and Fuda, I mean, it's going to be the same result.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't see why he's not there. And let's see what else can we change on here. Get Kimata out of here and put Yanagiuchi in his spot. What else? Well, I guess I see the point of that match though, because it's whatever. Instead of Punch, somebody else should be.
Yes, yeah.
Literally,
it could be you. That's fine.
It could be literally. I'll take like double payday, right? Ho-Ho gets paid. If he wrestles into the commentary, Ho-Ho gets paid twice. I'll get paid twice. I'll do it. Put me in, coach.
I only want you to wrestle so you can do what Ho-Ho does, where he leaves from the ring and goes straight to the commentary table and is out of breath for the first minute the microphone is near him, which is my favorite move.
He was against doing that. when I first pitched it to him, he's like, "No, that's not funny." I'm like, "Yeah, you got to do it." And he's
No,
like,
it's really funny. I enjoy it every single time.
it's the Booker T thing, right? I think Booker T was the one that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And what makes it even better is it leaves us in our imagination. We don't believe that he goes and grabs a towel or a ball of water. Like
We prepare the bottle of water for him, and usually the towel is in. Usually he sits there covered in sweat until intermission, and then he goes and cleans up.
that's dedication.
Do you have an update on Kato? I know he had surgery, and I believe he just started training again. Do you know when he could be back?
I do have an update on Kato. No, he had surgery. He has the same condition that Milano Collection AT had, the one that Milano retired from.
That's not good.
But no, it's not a death sentence. Like it's not career ending medical. Like even when Milano retired from it, he could have gotten surgery from it, but he let it go too long. And even now we have another 15 years of medical advancement since then. Yoshino had it. Yoshino had surgery. He came back from it. It was no big deal. So Kato had surgery on his eye whenever he disappeared, February or March. The doctor fucked the surgery up. And when I say fucked the surgery up, he didn't make it worse, but he didn't fix it. So he had another surgery, and now he is recovering from the second surgery. And he says the eye is still blurry, but it just takes time. So he's probably still a ways away, but he's not gone or anything. It's not at this time. It's not anything career-ending. We just have to wait for it to heal.
Yeah, like it sounds like one of those, like with the cloudiness, it could be very much that like one day he wakes up and his eyes are starting to clear.
Yeah, and I mean I don't know. So when he had surgery, the first one in March, and when I saw him in May, he had just started training. So that's 2 months. He had the second surgery end of March. So I mean we're still looking at another month before he would start training again. He's still around. He's doing promotion work. Nagano's got a knee thing. I don't know the severity. I mean, he's around. He's walking around, so it's not. He didn't have surgery. He's not laid up, but he's not healthy. Junior has the neck thing. He did an exhibition match in Okinawa, but I don't think he's going to make it for World in terms of just getting back to being able to do a real match. But he might. That's why
he's on the Mochizuki show, which gave me hope at the very least.
That's an extra. He can, if he really needed to, they could put him out there right now, like they did in Okinawa. But I think that they don't want to. It's a neck thing, and if it's for a pre-show match, why risk it? Why put him out there?
Yeah, so. No, that lines up, and who knows? I mean, they got the biggest X before. Who's to say that?
Yeah. Well, who do you think? Who do you guys think for the X for Ichikawa's opponent?
Muto was so perfect for the first one that like I'm going to be let down. Like I know like that. So I mean the difficult thing is, do we think that Mr. Nagamori could have slid a little something extra in Shingo's envelope and maybe it's him?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's got to be an Owari Gate thing. Mm-hmm. Like this is my championship. You never beat me for this. I'm coming back. You're going to try and revive this title. Well, you need to go through me first, and then Pumping Bomber 9 seconds, and then that's it.
Yeah, you have to go through me. I hated this thing. I destroyed it. Pumping Bomber, and then he says like, "Oh, I don't care. You're a loser."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly that's all. It's all it needs to be. And like when I said this to Ho-Ho, like, it's going to be Takagi, right? He's like, no, if it's going to be Takagi, they should advertise it. But now they've advertised it. They've advertised he's going to be there as a second for Takahashi. So people know he's going to be in the building.
I like that a lot more than it being a Noah guy, because I'm trying to rack my brain of...
They don't have... I mean, it could be Kiyomiya, right?
Well, yeah. It's like, Nakajima, Shiozaki, I mean, they're all, it's whatever. Shingo's the most entertaining of the bunch.
Well, I mean, there is someone that, though it's only going to be entertaining to like a select Venn diagram of people who watched 2016 to 2018 Gabe Sapolsky produce. They could do Timothy Thatcher versus Konamawa Chikawa.
Oh,
No one
God.
It would be funny. It would
who
be
else?
funny.
It could be Fujinami, I guess.
Wasn't Fujinami in the original match series? I thought.
I don't think they've ever wrestled. So it could be Fuji, but Leona's not on the show, so it's probably not Fujinami.
Yeah, that's kind of the tip there. No Leona with that, but hey,
I
Nagamori.
think it's Shingo. I think it's Shingo, and it's an ORI gate.
They did Fujinami at Dead or Alive 2014.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I just looked that up. I did not know that. Right before Flamita versus Susumu. What a difference in match quality there.
Yeah.
Did they
Casey, what do
really?
you think?
They did. Wow.
Yeah. I really like Shingo. I think he's the clubhouse leader. I also thought maybe it would be Junior, and they just get Junior on the show somehow, which I would support, because I thought Junior was, other than Kikuchi and Yoshioka, the most exciting guy in the company before he got hurt, and I'm itching to get him back. I just think he makes every show better right now.
Yeah, God. I mean,
that injury was scary.
It was. I mean, he couldn't move 2 minutes for 2 minutes, and even like they joked, like Minarita joked, like he's gonna make the handspring DDT thing. It's the JK DDT, the Junior Killer DDT, and he hasn't even used it. He hasn't even used it since then. But
I like the idea of Minarita having a knockout gimmick. That makes that he should really run with that just to make him even more absurd.
Yeah, he's all right. What else is on this card? Okay, what do you guys think is? So let me hear your booking for Hiromu and Yamato. I want to hear what you guys have in mind for this.
I hope
I've got my fantasy booking, so I want to hear yours.
I mean, my fantasy booking is that this turns into a Yamato heel turn, and we get to see sleepy, angry Yamato, and he decides that he lied about stepping out of unit fray, and then he's taking over Z-Brats. That's my dream, but that's not going to happen. I'm hoping that like at the very least, getting out of this, I still want to see the shades of the Yamato we have seen outside of a Dragongate ring this year. That's my big hope with these kind of matches.
I'm a little stuck on it, because I would think if they're bringing in Hiromu, I mean, he doesn't lose to New Japan Juniors. I have a hard time buying the idea that he would take a clean pinfall here.
He is junior champion too.
Yeah, and he's going to break the defense record, so he's not losing. Takahashi's not losing in New Japan anyway. He's not losing until he wrestles Naito at the anniversary show in the junior champion versus IWGP champion match that was supposed to happen and got canceled by COVID.
That's right.
Finish the story, New Japan.
I mean, what is there a scenario? I don't know. Real quick, Jay, because I emailed you about this before the All-Star Junior Festival. Can you explain the story that's gone on here between Hiromu and Yamato? Because I don't think people realize there's more depth to this than, hey, it's a cool match.
Yeah, I mean, when Hiromu first started floating the idea of a Junior All-Star show, there really was no plan for it. Like, it was really just him going out and, you know, trying to rustle up attention and maybe get some interest in it. There was no plan for a Junior All-Star show at the time that he brought it up. And Dragongate got named, who do you want to see? Who would you like to see from this? So there was an order from within the company, hey, it's okay, react to this if you want to react to this thing that Hiromu was doing, because it'll turn into something LEC related. A couple days after it all started, and Yamato's reaction was, "Fuck you guys, fuck New Japan, because you never talk about us, you never come to us, you only come to us when it's convenient to you, when you need to drum up excitement, and fuck you, you're not going to use us for attention or anything like that." When there was no plan for this show to actually happen. And then the show actually happened, and of course Yamato had to get booked for it because he talked all that shit. So he then was all the New Japan all the marks that were going at him for his comments were now coming at him. So he went and worked all of them into a shoot on Twitter, talking shit about them and going back and forth. He lost his phone the one day, and it was like the end of the world. But then it was like he was drunk and fell, and it landed under the sofa, and he found it and was and was back on. But yeah, I mean, the backstory to this was it started there, but then they had the match they teamed together, or they were on opposite sides of a 6-man, I think it was, at the All-Star Junior Festival.
Yeah.
But they didn't really. And next time and Hiromu was like, all right, I'll return the favor. Next time I'm coming to Dragongate, and I'll face you there. And this is making good on that promise.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I have no feel for this other than, I guess now I'm curious for your fantasy booking, because I'm wondering if there's a possibility of Yamato wins here and then has to drop a junior title challenge later.
Well, I mean, you could do that. I mean, Yamato lost a Gurukun mask, so losing to Hiromu Takahashi really is not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. Like, I'm perfectly fine with them going out, Yamato having a great match with Takahashi, getting pinned, and that's the end of it. It's perfectly fine. My worry is that, so if you go back and look at the pre-show matches, there's two guys on the pre-show that are probably going to have an easy night and are going to be looking for things to do later on. And this match might be a place for them to come and do that. So I'm really worried about a no contest in this match.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, now I have the fear.
What I would do, I would do exactly that, but I would have the match happen. I would have back and forth, good match. Takahashi wins, fine. Afterwards, they're talking, handshake, it's all good. All right, so now we had the Junior Festival, we had a singles match. Next time, me and you tagging together. Then you bring out Kai and Hyo, you do the back and forth. Well, no better time than now. Do impromptu tag match, 4 minutes. Takahashi takes out Kai on the floor. Yamato pins Hyo with the Galeria. Everybody shakes hands. Everybody forgot Yamato lost. You're done. That's what I would do.
When are we giving you and Ho-Ho the pencil? That's a number of great ideas I have heard on this podcast so far.
Yeah, well, talk to the GM. So that's what I would do. You could also throw Ishin in there and get Shingo in and have it be a 6-man. And then at the end, after all this is over, you shake hands, and then you have Shingo, Hiromu. They do the fist bump. They invite Yamato come over. He does the fist bump. They call Punch over to do it. Punch puts the fist out, pumping bomber. Everybody goes home.
I was expecting you to say Yoda Tsuji comes out and smiles creepily.
Yeah, then we wouldn't have to pay for lights.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, what else is on this show?
Well, let's talk about the cage match real quick.
Yeah.
We ended up talking about the Dreamgate instead. So the prevailing thought with all the people that listen and that talk to us is this is a vehicle to unmask Diamante, likely get him into gold class. I expect him to have a pretty big King of Gate run. Is that the prevailing thought here?
Well, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that that's the prevailing theory?
I just look at this match as a way that they found a way to get Diamante's mask to someone that could actually be an active credit towards, rather than the one fallacy of the Ultimo versus Diamante feud was that Ultimo gets absolutely nothing out of winning that mask. Maybe I'm putting more of a Lucha Puesta's importance on the mask, but this solves that problem. So you can have it that Strong Machine J is the one standing tall, getting the light, getting his mask, and then do a turn for Diamante and Shun. I feel like that's pretty. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty cookie cutter for how things go in the cage. If you want to replay 2016 with Shun as Doi, and then end up with Diamante on mask at the end of the night with Minoura and Hulk and Benkei saying, "Come with us, you're handsome."
Yeah, hey, just like Doi in 2016, it's not out of character for Shin to do that. So
Right.
yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah, I just think about who has something to gain here. Ultimo's irrelevant. I think he'll be the first guy out of the cage. Shun, I think, is far more valuable with his mask than without. Dragon Kid, I think, is an interesting addition to the match because for as much as I love Strong Machine J and for as much as I love Diamante, the idea of ending Kobe World with those two guys in the ring is a little odd to me. So I think, okay, maybe Dragon Kid is actually the last escapee in the match, but he's obviously not losing. And so you go back and forth between Strong Machine J and Diamante. And I personally like the direction of Strong Machine J. I like him with his mask. I'm for as much as I love natural vibes, I'm ready to break them up just to filter those guys through different spots on the card. But I like him as the second generation masked wrestler. And I think Diamante can gain something from losing here. So I still lean towards Diamante.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I don't know, 47% Diamante, 47% Strong Machine J, and then no, like 49 and 49%, and then out of the remaining 2%, 1% Shin Skywalker, 0.8% Dragon Kid, 0.2% Ultimo Dragon. I think you can make a strong case either way for Diamante and Machine J.
Does Machine J seem to be catching on with the effort they've put into him this year? I just talked to somebody who was doing a catch up, hadn't really watched much of Dragongate this year, and their big takeaway was like, "Oh, Strong Machine J's really good now." Last time I watched, he was just a guy.
Yeah, the mask and the gimmick holds him back. Ultimately, the singlet is lame, and he's very good at expressing his emotion through the mask, and it makes you kind of think, what would he be like without the mask? And there's kind of also the idea of the machine gimmick. Even his father wasn't super strong machine forever. He took the mask off, took it off, put it back on, took it off, put it back on, but he did take the mask off eventually. And if basically everything that Skywalker is saying in the build up to this match, I mean, he's basically, he's throwing factual statements as insults at him, in that, you've essentially traded on your father's legacy and your father's reputation all of this time. And, Machine J losing the mask and having to prove that wasn't the case, that he can earn this, he can earn his spot in the Reiwa generation leaders, earning one of those positions, and he didn't just get there because the company wants to trade on his mask. That's a compelling story. That said, like you said about Diamante, let's get it over with. Let's take the mask off. Let's let him go on this. Take the mask off, be handsome, join gold class, win King of Gate. All of that also valid. That said, I could still see Dragon wanting to do the match in Mexico next year. And Dragon is old. People forget.
Yeah.
Dragon is going to be, 57 next year. And I could see Diamante beating him and becoming Ultimo Dragon 2. It's not necessarily a straight road, but if I squint, I could see that. I could see the exit that way.
And if they do that match in Mexico, like before that, this one was made, there's the chance again with like more of a lucha focus. He has the sponsors in Mexico to put up the money for his mask.
He's not going to do it in Dragongate. He's going to do it in He's going to do it in Torima, Mexico. It's going to be Dragon Mania, because that's, that's just how it is. It's not good or bad. That's just the way business is going to go. So
He came back in the company to do a Dragomania show 4 years ago, and he's going to get that Dragomania
He's
show.
going to get
one
the
way or another.
Dragomania show, and there's going to be a fan tour, and there's going to be a barbecue at his house, like there was supposed to be in 2020.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, damn it. And I mean, I can see the case for that. You know, Machine J losing is a bad end to Kobe World, so there's that. If you really wanted to go hard, you could have Diamante beat Dragon Kid and have him beat Bokuto Dragon, Dragon Dia, Dragon Kid. I'm coming for Ultimo Dragon next. Takes Ultimo Dragon's mask, and since you've killed all the dragons and now I've covered in dragon blood, so I've become one. So
yeah,
that's there. That's there. I mean, I do not think Dragon Kid is losing this match, but
hey, Dragon Killer would be a lot better nickname than Mexican Power.
Pretty much, yeah. So, I do have information. I don't know the end of the match, but I do. Unfortunately, got spoiled on a little bit, so I kind of know where things are going to play out a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know the finish. I don't know the last two guys in the ring or anything like that. But read the rules carefully, and then you'll maybe have a little better understanding about how the match is going to play out. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, the rules very unique for this one. I think that one of the big things that international fans who kind of dip in, dip out at Dragongate are going to kind of have to get accustomed to the fact that, at least as how the rules state, don't expect a Robo Mochi out there. Don't expect.
Yeah, yes. There are no seconds at rings, even though that was announced in the ring, but it hasn't been written down anywhere. So that's interesting. But yeah, no. I mean, there's no seconds allowed at ringside. I'm sure the cage wall is going to get torn down, and there's going to be Z-Rats all over the match. But officially, it's not going to be that type of cage match where there's people at ringside with volleyballs and all of that other stuff. It's going to be straight up cage match.
I mean, I hope that Dragon Kick brings the rope ladder in for Ultimo in that case.
Yeah, we'll see, right? I mean, Dragon Kid is in the match to make sure Ultimo Dragon gets out of the cage. That's his motivation for being there. So, and that's what he said. Anyway, so let's see what he does to make sure that happens.
I am touching on other parts on the card. The Triangle Gate match. So, Natural Vibes champion team KZ, Big Boss Shimizu, and Jackie Funky Kame going against the original formation of Gold Class, Kota Minoura, Minorita, and Naruki Doi. One of the things I'm working on a piece talking about the Reiwa Generations leaders and the idea of this new era in Dragon Gate, they have really, in a similar way that I went and I looked at the Kobe World 2013, the leaders, with the exception of the special singles match, you look at the top of the card, you have them in almost every single match going on here. And you have, with this one, you have Kota Minoura after last year taking a step back in the Triangle Gate with Naruki Doi being drug along the way against his best wishes.
Yeah, and hey, look, if you've got, I mean, it makes sense from a company standpoint, in that from Gold Class point of view, he's a good pick. I mean, he's got connections to them. They didn't ask him. That's the problem. But from a company point of view, from the why would Ryo Saito do this? It's like, well, look, you're a freelancer, but we're still paying you to wrestle on the show, and we're going to put you on the card where we think we're going to get our money's worth out of you. So, and then from Doi's perspective, well, I'm a freelancer, and maybe they don't want to book me anymore. So if I win the championship, they have to book me. There you go. He's in the match.
Raise your rates if you're the Triangle Gate champion going into Big Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's a good enough motivation for me, to be honest. I think it's a good match. It'd be interesting if Gold Class wins.
It seems like that Vibes team is kind of that. I could see them holding the belts for a while. they're all guys with no immediate direction. I mean, the Shimizu thing is baffling to me, where it seemed like we were going to get Kakuta versus Shimizu maybe in June, and then that didn't happen, and now he's a Triangle Gate champion, and I could just see him sitting there for a while.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, this goes for essentially any team that holds the Triangle Gate for the foreseeable future. Is that they could either hold the titles for a long time, or they could lose them immediately.
Yep.
And that's again the case here. I would be perfectly fine with Gold Class bringing Doi back into the fold as a. But we'll see what happens with. I mean, his anniversary show is coming up, and then we'll see what happens after that. Then we'll be coming up on the year.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because when he went exclusive freelance and last fall, he did have Nara coming up that year.
Yes, and the contract restructuring was September, so he would. We'll see if he stays freelance. We'll see if he comes back. We'll see if he goes. I mean, it can go any one of the three ways.
I look at this match, and especially with how the units are kind of set up, we've kind of talked a little bit around this, but having Doi, and then even as just like an assistant kind of role, just whenever TV or when he's booking him to 5, just that has been one of those things over the last 18 months, really since the start of 2022, is just the units are so small right now. It is. I look at this Triangle Gate team and I go like, okay, Kamei is probably coming up to a time where his first heel turn probably should be happening within the next like 6 to 9 months. KZ is the longest tenured face, I think, right now on the roster. I think that he has that one, and then Shimizu, as Kay said, being left out, being the 7th out of 6. I look at this Triangle Gate team and I look at Natural Vibes just in general, and I just, for like the first time since they form, I'm really looking at them like, oh, I think that this is about time to wrap things up. And this card and then leading into King of Gate seems like the time to do so.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I understand the reluctance to break these guys up, just because it's a consistent bright spot on the card, and they're very popular, and breaking them up, you've got to have something good. If you're going to break them up, there needs to be something real good coming out of it to replace that spot on the card, and I don't know if the pieces are there to do that right now. You could take one or two people out, because they've got 6 people, so you could take Machine J out, or you could take Jason Lee out, or you could take Big Ball. I mean, if you turn Shimizu heel, we saw what happened. Last time he was heel, they had turned him into a comedy wrestler for a year and rehab him for another 2 years to get him to where he is now. I'm not sure turning him again is the answer. The KZ heel turn is kind of the break glass type of thing, but I don't know if that's where they want to go with him.
Yeah, it's something. The more I like look at the pairs, like you break up Natural Vibes, you not only like lose like this good like 6-person unit that you can do 2 matches on the card, you can have them do a heel match and then have them go against a face unit, and you're not really stressing the fabric of the unit to do so.
Right.
I wonder, like the biggest thing, as you're saying, like the crowd thing, like you can't just immediately go like, all right, Natural Vibes is done. Here's another unit that has a complex entrance. Like,
sure.
we remember how long Natural Vibes versus Masquerade matches were before they started, before the bell rang. It was about 10 minutes usually before all the entrances were done. But losing that factor and not having something you could put into that place might be the leading reason not to break them up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Gold Class is getting there, but at the same time, the dance, and you turn the lights down, and everybody's got the glowing rings and everything, and like the visual aspect and how it brings up the mood of the venue consistently, and that's something that is not easily replaced. And there needs to be, like, if you're thinking about doing it, and again, I would be perfectly fine with restructuring the group a little bit, but breaking the unit up right now, especially when fans are uneasy, would be a choice. yeah, I mean, I think the ideal, again, if I'm fantasy booking here, I'm having Dragon Dia. Okay, here now I'm going into real fantasy booking territory here because I feel like the Triangle Gate match isn't special enough for this card. And I think D-Courage needs more members, so I would take whoever gets picked for the rookie selection team. Let's say it's Tanaka and Yanagiuchi. I say you have them beat Kai and Hyo. Do Schoolboy or something on Hyo. You have Dragon Dia come out, invite them to D-Courage, jump in the Triangle Gate match, make it a 3-way, and whoever didn't get picked from the rookie selection team, let's say it's Fuda, you put him in Dragon Dia's spot in the opener. Because I feel like there needs to be the Triangle Gate match needs to be like real special. This could be a special match, but like
I think they're banking on Doi being back in gold class as the special feature there. But I get your point.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be good. Dreamgate match needs to be good. Twin Gate match should be really good.
Well, what happened to Kanda? Why is he having the best matches of his career in 2023? I did not have that on my bingo card coming into the year.
Yeah, I don't know. It's 25th anniversary power up.
I mean, I'm still raving over the Kano Kondo match. That's the best. It's the best Kondo performance I've ever seen, and he was obviously great in the tag league finals. But I've never been a Kondo guy, and he blew me away there. It's one of my favorite matches of the entire year.
Yeah, I mean, he was the worst for a long time. Towards the end of, I mean,
like RED era Kondo is just it's horrible.
Later Berserk RED Kondo, there would be like him and Yoshida in undercard tags was just the worst.
But I think there's a Champion Gate where they do like Kondo versus Punch for the Brave Gate or something. I mean, it's something.
They had a feud for the Brave Gate Championship where like they traded the title.
It was dire.
Yeah, because that's like Kanda ended Kagetora's reign. It was like right after he turned heel, beat Kagetora to total shock and dismay, and then Punch rolled him up and beat him, and then they did another match. It was a no contest, and they vacated the title, and that was just all. Kanda was Brave Gate champion twice and fucking sucked both times. When he was champion in 2006, it was terrible too.
Yeah,
or 2007, sorry, but. Yeah, no, he's been great this year. I think this match will be really good.
And Hulk in gold class has worked out better than I thought it would. I thought we'd get one tour out of that and then get sick of it, but I continue to enjoy him there.
Yeah, no, like I said last time, gold class is a unit where everybody is pulling they're all pulling each other up. So it's a unit where everybody's making everybody better, and Hulk's been a great addition. Benkei is a lunatic. The entrance will probably be wild here. So this should be good. It's before the Takahashi match, so all the New Japan fans will still be there. That's the other thing. They might leave before the Triangle Gate match. So that's another worry. But yeah, that'll be good. Brave Gate match. I'm assuming Ishin makes weight. It's a good
I'm looking forward to it. I think Isha needs a big match, and Jason has had a lot of very good Brave Gate matches. I'm still waiting on that holy shit Brave Gate match from him.
When was the last holy shit Brave Gate match? Kento and Kame?
Yes, that would have to be it.
Fujiwara and Dia?
That one,
yeah.
Okay. Holy shit Brave Gate matches from guys that didn't get fired.
Yeah. I think we're looking back to Susumu's run.
No, not that far back, right?
I mean, if we're talking about people who got fired, that I know you're more down on it than others. That takes out the entirety of Ishida and Okuda.
Yeah, well, Okuda sucks. Kaito was a good champ. He didn't have a holy shit match, though. I mean,
his title win against Susumu might be the holy shit match.
Let's see. Go on.
Yeah, Kaito versus Jason was really good, and I mean, Mike and I loved the Ishida Okuda matches. Ishida Maria was really good, but I wouldn't call it holy shit good.
Okay. What's a holy shit Brave Gate match?
Let's call it 4.5 and up.
What's Susumu and Flamita?
Yes.
Okay. What else?
Nothing from the Kagetora reign.
I like the Yamamura
Kid,
matches.
Dragon Kid and Ricochet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's 11 years ago.
Hey,
That's a good one. That's a good one for English commentary.
Yeah, actually, it is. I think a lot of people have not seen the first one.
Yeah, well, I was thinking Pac and Ricochet, the last one they did in Osaka. That is another one that I would like to see you guys do.
I'm scrolling here, and I'm at 2012. And I'm not.
Well, I would put Tozawa and KZ in there because I love that, and then Tozawa and Eita from World was great too. So
Yeah, it was.
that's where I land. Is probably I'm sure I went 4.5 on Tozawa Eita.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically saying that a lot of the things that Ishin is saying about the Bravegate division and the Bravegate Championship in general are accurate.
Yeah.
And, it's up to these guys, Ishin, Jason, Daya, Minorita, those guys to make this championship valuable again. And, dipping into commentary spoilers here, but like Ishin has said, Ishin has a very clear goal in mind in this match, and that basically saying what we just said about, this division hasn't had a standout performance, hasn't had a standout champion in years now. Whenever you talk about the heyday of the Bravegate division, you're talking about a decade ago. You're talking about when Yoshino, Pac, Ricochet, Dragon Kid, all those guys held the championship, and none of the champions after that have been able to live up to that. And people win the championship and they lose the championship, and they don't really care about it. Like, you look at Dragon Daya, for example. Dragon Daya, people have been saying, Dragon Daya looked like a fool standing in the ring in Nagoya, while Yoshioka is calling out Kikuta and all these other guys and not mentioning Dragon Daya. And and they're like, and then Daya comes back and says, "I'm fine with that because I want to carry the Bravegate division." Well, you just lost a challenge for the championship, and you didn't care about it. You lost the title, and you said, "Well, one day I'm going to get it back." And, well, sure, that's fine. Everybody says that. Nobody is talking about, this is my championship. I'm going to make it mine. I'm going to raise the value of this championship. You become champion, and it's a prop. You're just a Bravegate champion. You have your 12-minute match on the card. You lose it and you move on, and you don't think about it again. And Jason, on commentary, when he was on commentary and we were talking about the white strap on the belt, and I'm like, well, it's the champion's job to dye it the color of the champion. He's like, oh, I didn't know that. And Ishin knows that. Ishin has come out and he said, look, I'm going to take this title, and when you think of the Bravegate, you're going to think of me. And that's, he's a heel. You shouldn't be rooting for him, but he's saying the things that you need to say about this championship. So it's on Jason to go out and fucking beat this dude and make the title his.
Yeah. It's been interesting with Ishin this year, like, especially since he came back from his injury, kind of going more into the sumo mode now, having to cut weight to qualify with this. It not exactly how I was envisioning, like, his heel turn and the ups and downs with it, but I think that with what we've seen with Ishin since coming back, that can draw out the kind of match that I think that Jason would want to have to color the belt, I would say.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like, it's something about, like, Jason's, like, I look at him kind of almost in a way as, like, the Swiss Army knife of junior wrestling, that he could pretty much do very well every part of it. It's just like with the Daya match, just for however it was, did not necessarily get to show that ability. And maybe it's something that it's the collective of what his potential title run can be is the thing that colors it, that he goes and has a Daya match, and then this Ishin match is understandably going to be much more different. And if he retains, who's to say he gets a Minorita challenge again, and how that changes. Like, that's, I guess, if Jason is going to take the coloring the belt, that's kind of how I see that happening.
Yeah, and I think that's a best case scenario. I think that would be the ideal path forward for Jason. And I see no reason for Jason to not be champion for a very long time.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there that there's no rush. I mean, anybody they give it to, who cares? This feels like the time to let Jason cook and really let him come to his own and almost reward him for what has become 6 years of excellence.
Yeah, and it's more a concern. The Brave Gate is more a concern about quality of opponents than quality of champion. Because I mean, my thought was you do the match against Daya, and then you have a match against Nagano and Fukuoka. So Nagano gets the hometown people behind him. You do a match with Junior in Tokyo, or Junior gets everybody, and like you run through all the young guys and have Jason give them a good match, and kind of set up excitement for the future of the Brave Gate division.
Yeah, it's productive on two fronts. You get Jason a good match, and you get the young guys a little boost.
Yeah, and I think that they were trying to go there with Estrella, and I didn't think the Estrella match was bad at all. I thought, I mean, it wasn't great or anything, but it was just great, or it was just good. It was just fine.
It was a great Jason performance, which led to a good match.
Yeah. And with where Estrella is, and I think now it's a good time to kind of consider him more so of a work in progress. He's not just being that gimmick that he was thrust into. It was something that with where he was, that was about as well I could expect.
Yeah, Estrella, I mean, he's good. I mean, he's super athletic. He's going back overseas. He's going back after World, so he'll be gone for he'll go and travel the world and absorb whatever he can, and maybe come back end of the year. I don't know.
Do you think giving him a new gimmick, if he just went to Mexico again as Estrella and then popped up back in Japan just as a different person, do you think that would do him good?
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do now, by outing, having him be
a hard pivot to, he's not an alien, he's from Kobe.
Yeah, I think that the gimmick, the Estrella gimmick, Ultimo produced it. This is Ultimo's gimmick, so I don't think he's changing. I don't think he's changing the Estrella gimmick, but I think the little tweak to actually giving him that extra layer of personality, where he can come out now and he can talk and he can, actually show that he is a living, breathing person and not just an alien, is good enough character development. And then he can go away, and let's see what happens when he comes back next time. Maybe he comes back with Nishikawa has to come back before the Yokohama show, so he has to come back relatively soon. So maybe they come back together.
I'd like that.
That would be almost 2 years for Nishikawa too. So
well, no, the Yokohama show's in January, so he's got to be back. He's got to be back relatively soon. I mean, maybe Osaka at the latest for him to come back.
Because you're going to want to have that full December tour with him. Yeah,
I mean, you're going to want. Let's see, are they in Yokohama again before the end of the? They've got one coming up next month. Where is the schedule? Maybe there's usually one in December. There's traditionally a Yokohama show in December, a smaller one at Radiant Hall. So maybe, I mean, he'd have to be back for that. But I think he'll be back in sometime in the fall.
Yeah, and I think that pairing him with a returning Estrella, if they want to kind of do like them as a joint thing, coming back from excursion for the first bit.
He doesn't have the partners he was going to have, so he's got to have some other partners. I mean, you could have him come back. He could come back as anything. I mean, he's total blank. There is no preconceived notion here of what. I mean, even like Fujiwara had 6 months here where you kind of built up an impression of who he is and what he is and what kind of character or what kind of wrestler he would be when he came back. But you don't have any of that for Nishikawa. I mean, he went as a boring, he looked like an old man when he left, and now he does not look like an old man now. So he's, assuming nothing happens and he actually comes back, then, that's something to be excited about and something to look forward to. Ho wrestled a guy named Black Ho today. What the fuck is this?
Real quick on the two matches we haven't hit. I don't assume, maybe I'm wrong, but do you have any thoughts on the opener of Daya, Stray, and Eita versus Kage, UT, and Nohashi? But I do want to know your thoughts on Kano and Dragongate, because your opinion is so interesting, because wrestling outside of Dragongate rarely penetrates you. You often, it's whatever, it exists. But I look at Kano as perhaps the most naturally talented outsider that the company's ever brought in, and obviously has a Michinoku background, so it's not just taking like a all Japan stiff and, oh my god, he's good in Dragon Gate. It's so surprising. But I'm obsessed with Kano here, and I think Mochi Fuji versus Kondo and Kano is the perfect match for this show.
It's interesting because on the original card, the teams were mixed up. It was actually going to be Keno and Mochizuki against Fuji and Kondo. So it's interesting that they changed. Yeah, and they just broke Kongo up today.
They did. Maybe Mr. Leck wants to get Kano on some more Dragon Gate shows. I would certainly support that.
Yeah, he might be going freelance. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, he cut a promo basically kind of alluding to it, where he said, like, my first 10 years I said this, for the 15th year I said this, now on my 16th year it's about, like, it was something that was basically like expanding horizons or something like that. Gotcha. At least that was my impression of that promo.
He talks in a way that is very easy to understand. Obviously he's a great wrestler. I mean, he takes himself very seriously, which makes him a comedy wrestler for me. Like, I just like his stupid haircut, and he's pudgy, and like if you took his talent and put it in someone that was a little more visually appealing, I'd be all about it. But I look at him and I laugh.
He's always had that energy, though. He always has like the angsty teenager energy.
Yeah, like so mad about whatever. No, he's super talented. Yeah, I mean, the little Twin Gate run was good. The kicking Kai in the eye and busting his eye open and all that stuff. I mean, there was, like, him and Kondo were a real good tag team. And it's good. I mean, like, I don't need to see him every month or everything like that. But I don't like recoil in horror when he's on cards like I originally did.
That's a huge win, actually. Not recoiling in horror is a big dub for Kano and the company.
yeah. There's not many guys that you can say that about. I would take him over pretty much anybody else in Noah, at least.
Oh yeah.
I'm still holding out hope that Nakajima comes back and does a one-off one day, but other than that, yeah, Kano's the guy. I mean, I always joke, it's like, can we trade Eita in a Dojo Kid to be named later for Kano and just have those two switch schedules? Because I would really like to see a lot more Kano and Dragon Gate.
Fucking Eita, man. What is this guy doing with his life?
Not the Super Juniors tournament.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was talking to someone, like, what happened? And he's like, I don't know what happened. Like, that there is starting to be this prevailing thought about Eita that this is as good as it gets for him. And that for us, for Dragon Gate fans, I mean, you got to remember the first decade of this guy's career where he was a bust.
Yes.
And every other thing was with the qualifier of he would rather be back in Mexico.
Yeah, and he was being pushed to be the type of be a type of wrestler he didn't want to be. Shima was trying to force him to be high flying guy with abs. This bog standard Shima favorite type of thing, and I applaud him and I fully support him. Taking back the wheels of destiny on his career and doing it on his own terms. but his popularity in like even as late as 2018, he was a bust. His heel, he was a bad promo. He was not over, and his popularity now came from all the work he put in 2018, carrying the back half of 2018 in his feud with Dragon Kid, being the top heel, putting RED together, losing his hair like a champ at the end of the year, and all of that, all of the let's say the hard, all the work that he put in that got him to this popularity. People that don't watch Dragongate don't know about all that, so they see what he does now. And without that history in Dragongate and all of that, that respect that he earned, maybe the thought on him outside of Dragongate is this is about it for him.
And that's not like dissimilar to listening to international fans when Eita came in there. It's like, why do you all talk so high on Eita? Whenever I see him in Noah, it's just a lot of shtick, and it's like, well, that's not the Eita we know.
But it is. That's the thing.
Yeah,
he's been all shtick forever here, and he had, when he was young, he had flashy matches, but they were once a year. He had the run where he was Bravegate champion, but he was a flop as Bravegate champion. And I don't know. I mean, I would personally, obviously, I would love for him to stay here, be here full time, be a unit leader or a co-leader in a unit, help cultivate young guys, and just be Eita here. But maybe we, in our heads, that like, well, yeah, he's got to go to New Japan. Maybe we all gassed ourselves up too much on that, because Shingo is the exception to the rule. Shima, the fucking top, Shima, Magnum Tokyo. Oh, Milano went. Milano made it to New Japan, but he made it to New Japan in the Dark Ages, so that's a different story.
Yeah.
But like everybody else, Shingo is the exception. Everybody else that's left Dragon Gate has not gone to New Japan. They've gone and done something else. So maybe we gassed Eita up in our minds too much about the idea of him. It has to be New Japan or nothing, and maybe he's just fine taking the Noah paydays and carrying Leona through, letting Leona punch the mat and do whatever with him, and take his paydays and not wreck his body anymore, and just be a family man and take it easy. That could be it for him.
Well, I think we all have the Eita Liger match in our head, and we go, well, he could just be this. He is every bit as good as any New Japan Junior. And I look at the division right now, and there's a lot of, if Eita showed up there tomorrow and go, God, there's so many great matches he could have. But
that was almost a decade ago.
Exactly. And we're just, left by this thought. And I don't get it. I was so invested in the Eita and Maria stuff that was going on at the beginning of last year. I thought that was so interesting. And, I was never a heel Eita guy. I mean, I thought he was saved by Pac coming in, because it was like, oh, he only has to lead this unit half the time now. And by the time Pac left, he left the company in what I thought was a better state, and Eita in a better state, and that unit in a better state. So he kind of got gifted a lot of RED success, in my opinion. And, I was so ready for a babyface turn, and then Peros came.
Yeah, and his King of Gate and Dreamgate run were empty arena, total clap crowd.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I talked about it last week. Eita versus Doi. If I could take one clap crowd match, I mean, it would either be maybe the already Toryumon Generation disbands match, but Eita versus Doi was almost perfect. It was an unbelievable match, and it was the chaos that is Eita. It all came together there, and it was perfect for what it should have been. But that reign was, that reign was short. That reign was to get Shun the belt, essentially.
Well, yeah, I mean, without COVID, it would have been, something else. But, I mean, that match was great.
Yeah, it was really. I don't have any desire to go back and watch that era, but I would like to go back and watch Eita versus Doi at some point, because I enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened last year. I think the decision was made. Well, I do know what happened. The Ultimo wanted Santo, and the only way that we were going to get Santo was if Noah paid for it, and if Noah was paying for it, we had to do Peros. So that's what happened. I mean,
Yeah.
but what happened after that? I think at that point, Eita had already decided. Ishida left, and I think Eita, Eita at that point wanted to go too, and that's why he put over Yoshioka and was going to go, but then Doi decided to go, so he stuck around a little bit longer, and we are where we are now, and we can hope that he sticks around and shows up from time to time, but at the same time, I wouldn't begrudge him if he didn't. I mean, he left. We don't, Doi still gets merchandise. Eita doesn't get merchandise. Eita is a full-time freelancer, and we got to live with it. And we also have to live with the idea that maybe he left to be a full-time freelancer to wrestle Leona, and that is awful. But
that's a statement.
But I mean, unless I'm seeing money from Mr. Nagamori to wrestle his favorite wrestler's son, that's not what I would pick. But hey, he has his own motivations.
Look, he's busted, broken down. He's got a bad neck. He's got a bad shoulder. He's got a family. You're 30 years old. Take the paycheck, brother. Heal up. Take the paycheck.
Yeah. And who's to say so many years on this kind of schedule or whatever? And I mean, we never thought Ultimo would be back. Who's to say 5 years from now? Eita's like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that about Kento and Fujiwara too.
Yeah.
Because look, they have no place to go when they come back here. I mean, they could go to Glade, but going to Glade, what does that mean?
Well, if they stay in Mexico long enough, it might not exist. I mean, I don't. Right. I know they have money, but for how long?
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. I mean, Kento's got sponsors, and the sponsors are backing them, but how long are they going to be willing to back them in Mexico? And Fujiwara, I could see people wanting because he's tall and he can fly. Kento is short. Kento is really short.
Kento's short for Dragongate standards.
He was short by Dragongate standards. Yeah, he is. He was small by. I mean, he was in a tag team with Hyo, and he wasn't bigger. He wasn't that much bigger than Hyo, and Hyo is not a big man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't want to possibly speculate anything on this, but when money is better and things get better, I mean, I think I can tell you this right now. If Lindemann quit Glade today, he'd be welcome back tomorrow. The other two guys, no, but him, he could come back. Ishida, probably no, but those two guys in Ishida, I think aside from them, anybody else, and Okuda couldn't come back, but any guy from Dragongate that left, wrestling is such that there's no never to that. The two kids that got fired from Noah, they're never coming back either. Or the kid that got fired from Kyushu Pro Wrestling, those guys are never going back. But our guys that got fired, they might come back.
For sure. Looking at the rest of the show, I feel like we've touched on nearly anything. Was there anything else about Kobe World Weekend you wanted to touch on, Jay, before we got out of here?
So we got two dark matches. I don't know if the dark matches are going to be on TV or not. I'll have to ask.
Yeah, I would like to see the young guys tag.
I have a feeling we're going to be live in the middle of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did we do last year? Last year we had the pre-show for the first night, but not the second night. So I don't know. The first 15 minutes are exclusive to the satellite pay-per-view. Like, the network is not allowed to have that. So it depends on where these matches happen. It'd be good. It'd be good if the first one got out of the way, because then I could have Ho-Ho from the start. But yeah, I would.
Yeah, because you've got Genki and Ho-Ho in that match.
Yeah, whenever they have whenever they put Ho-Ho in a match on a big show, they put all the English speakers in the match, and it's a rib on me. Yeah, so the opener, I mean, it's cool to see Nohashi in there. Nohashi has never been in the ring with everybody else aside from Kage. So that'll be interesting. I mean, him and Estrella are similar body types and similar heights, so that'll be interesting. Brave Gate match we talked about, tag match we talked about. Yeah, I think we've covered pretty much everything on this. Okay, KOG. Who's your pick?
It's a tough year.
Yeah, I don't have a good feel.
It's hard to pick without the mask result, right?
Yes.
Right.
You know, my first thought was, okay, Shimizu cuts this promo and it goes nowhere. Does he run through all of the new Big Six and King of Gate? And I forget what the lineup is now. I think his first round matchup is.
He would have to. He would have to go through. He's got Skywalker. Then he would get Machine J. Then he could theoretically get Benkei, but Benkei would have to go through Diamante. And then it's Kikuta coming out of the bottom half of that bracket. So yeah.
Yeah, prior to World, I'm going to say Shimizu, but we'll see what happens with the mask match.
Yoshio. So Yoshio's in the Noah tournament, so that probably means he's not making a run here. Out of the left side,
he can make a run of that Noah tournament.
He's bottom left. He's in the Tsuyohashi region, if you will.
So he's
got Kamei, and then Kagatora had the winner of Kagatora.
He could lose to Dragon Kid.
He
could lose to Dragon Kid, and then we could get Doi and Dragon Kid as a semi on the bottom. I think Yamato's getting bounced by Fuji by like count out or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck! I mean, whoever wins KZ and Eita has got to be the guy who comes out of the left side.
Yeah, it's something that, like, with how this bracket is set up, now that I'm really taking the time to get into it.
KZ and Shimizu, right?
KZ and Shimizu, if you're going with the idea that Shimizu is going to try to prove that he's not the 7th and the 6th.
Yeah,
and then KZ.
These are the two guys that spoke up.
Yeah, but KZ 2 and 3 years, or back to back, or 2 and 3 years. That'd be 2 and 3 years.
You could do it. I mean,
yeah,
he could win KOG and then get beat again. I mean, or he could win. I mean, look, you know, Kikuta doesn't have to be champion for a long time. You know, Shingo won the championship, lost it in his first defense, and Yamato won it, lost it in his second defense. So, you know, back then, last time they did this, that's what they did. So, you know, throwing someone like KZ or Shimizu in there as the fuck you and your Reiwa 6, you can have your 6, but I'm the one ahead of your 6. You know, you could do that.
If Shimizu does well, let's say, you know, let's go with the theory that he wins the tournament and we get the best version of Shimizu that there is. I feel like Shimizu versus Kakuta's a proper Ota main event.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. I would have been biting my fingernails on that.
Dangerous Gate, you could do. Yeah, I mean, Dangerous Gate, you could do pretty much anything because Dangerous Gate, Dangerous Gate. Ota is capped at 2,000 people for essentially every promotion these days, and you know, you could do anything there. I mean, as long as it's not Punch or, you know, something really or something real terrible. I mean, there's like literally. Yeah, I mean, Kikuta against Kikuta. Yeah, and Kikuta could be the one that bounces, and Shimizu could be the one that bounces Kikuta from the tournament. He bounces Kikuta from the tournament. Someone from the left side wins, gets the shot at Ota, and then you get Shimizu and Kikuta and Korakuen later. I mean, you could do that too. So there's a lot coming out of this. Or you could have Machine J or Diamante or Dragon Kid without a mask making a run.
Jay, would you say that this is as wide open of a King of Gate as we've seen? Because I'm like looking at all of the bracket and the matchups, and I'm like even like in my head going, well, Mochi could beat Kakuta, and that could be a Dreamgate title match. Like, there's a lot of ways to go here.
Yeah, without without the albatross of it having to be the world main event, it could be anybody. It could be, Dangerous Gate doesn't need a huge main event as long as it's got a good undercard.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go for that, and yeah.
I mean, well, eight probably not eight. Yamato probably not. KZ maybe. Eita probably not. Hulk probably not. Minoura maybe.
No.
Yoshio probably not. Benkei maybe. I mean, Benkei on the right side. Probably maybe not Sky. I think Skywalker gets bounced by Shimizu, but Shimizu yes. Machine J absolutely. Benkei absolutely. Diamante absolutely. Kikuta as champion running the table absolutely. Mochizuki beating Kikuta and then getting to the Mochizuki versus Kondo as a semifinal. There's a lot that can happen here.
The least interesting option might be KZ winning, because then I feel like we've done that. I feel like Natural Vibes KZ I don't think is a Dreamgate champion. I think there needs to be another evolution there if he's going to hit that top spot.
I wonder if UT isn't going to make because
UT could be spoiler.
That Matt, the semifinal, not somehow the quarterfinal. What would it be? First round, second round, quarterfinal, semifinal, final. Yeah. So the quarterfinal is in Aichi. Yeah, that could be UT versus who?
He would have to be Eita or KZ to get there, though.
Yeah, beats Hyo, beats KZ, loses to Yamato. That could happen, and then Yamato loses. Yeah, I mean Yamato could lose to Minoura, Doi, Yoshio, Dragon Kid. I mean, he could lose to any one of those guys, and that's fine. All right, where's Kobe for the right side? So yeah, that could be anybody. 723. Okay, so it's absolutely gonna be Minoura in one of the quarterfinals because that's in Gifu.
Yeah.
That's a homecoming show too. So yeah, that's Minoura. Minoura is gonna beat Yoshioka on July 23rd. That's what's gonna happen. There. That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. Minoura is gonna get to the semifinals by beating Yoshioka. So yeah, that's what's gonna happen. And then what happens from there, I don't know.
Case, are you emotionally prepared for that?
Oh boy, nobody had more Kota Minoura stock than me in 2021, and I could not be bothered to invest in any now. I just can't do it.
What is okay? Let's before I go to bed, let's talk about these six guys real quick. What is Minoura missing then?
He's unable to shake the PTSD that I have from last summer.
Okay, so that's not a him problem. That's a you problem. So what's his problem? What's his problem?
He's the least interesting of the six.
Yeah, I think the knock against him is the lack of emotion and aggression, and he seems like he doesn't care.
Yeah, like the thing that kind of gets me, and I think this kind of encapsulates him, is he's now developed this like flying elbow strike.
And it looks like shit.
Yeah, and it looks bad. It looks like he's just like jumping in the air and pointing his elbow out.
Yeah, it's Bryan Danielson's move.
Yeah, but Danielson made it look good.
Did he? I always thought it looked like shit because that was part of his comeback. That was part of his WWE comeback routine, right? He would flip over the turnbuckle and hit that elbow thing, and I always thought it looked like shit. And nobody has made it in Fire Pro on PC. I went to look for it so I could give it to Minoura, and it's not there. So you guys are letting me down, Fire Pro creators.
but I feel like the Bombero kind of encapsulates the issue with him.
Yeah, the jumping knee too. Like I don't know where the jumping knee came from, but like
I forget who. I think it was Kakuta that whenever the last time they wrestled, Kakuta went for his discus and Minoura hit him with a knee. And I thought, oh my God, there goes the Kobe World Main Event, because it looked like Minoura crushed him with a knee that looked way too hard.
He knocked somebody. He fucking knocked somebody It was in Cork and Hall. He was in Cork the second night. He did the jumping knee and knocked somebody out. Was it not? Where was it? It was a TV match.
Yeah.
It might have been. I think it was Fukuoka that he wrestled Kakuta. And again, there was 30 seconds. I was like, oh my god, Minoru's going to end up with a world main event again because he took out Kakuta.
There was a match where he won. I have to fucking search for this now because he won with the jumping knee and everybody was like, "What? The jumping knee? What?"
Oh, I think that was in Cork. And was it against Estrella?
Yeah,
I think it was Estrella.
Yeah. Minoru Minorita Estrella.
Yeah, he hit him with the jumping knee, and everybody thought shit, did he knock him out for real? Like, because it was so weird. And
it was abrupt.
Yeah. So, but Minoru has kind of got. I think he's got the Hulk characteristic of Hulk. The day he debuted, you were like, all right, he's got looks, he's good, this guy's going to be champion eventually, but it took him way longer than anybody else to get there. And I think Minoru's got, I hope they don't force it this year because he's got a good thing going right now. Like it's not great, but it's a lot better than it was last year. And I think they just need to let it cook, like the kids are saying on the internet these days.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just he's a victim of circumstance at this point because, I love Kakuta, love what he's doing. Yoshioka, interesting spot. Shun, interesting spot. Ben reinventing himself, continues to be fascinating. A strong machine. Jae is there, having the best year of his career. Minoru doesn't have the aggression or charisma that you would want from him. And he's also, he's not surrounded by masquerade and having all these great matches like he was in 2021, where I liked the Eita match and I liked the Mochizuki match and I liked the Yamato Dreamgate challenge and, the KZ King of Gate final. He had all of these great matches in 2021 and he's not even having those now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that was freshness, though. A lot of that was like, here's a new guy coming out and doing like the match with Yamato. Like there was a lot of criticism about the title match with Yamato afterwards about how Minoru didn't pull his weight in that. I mean, like they gave him the Sol Nasciente and he couldn't manage to make it a pivotal moment in the match. Like he just went and he used it and it meant nothing in the match because he didn't have the sense of the timing of where or how to use it or even how to apply the hold properly. And I think that's once that freshness of, wow, here's a new young guy from Dragongate that is jumping up and challenging for championships. He's only 22 years old. Imagine how good he's going to be. When that shine wore off, and he did the gimmicks he was given did no favors. The start of Gold Class up through the Dreamgate, the Dreamgate match with Yoshioka was filth. It was terrible, and I don't blame you for having any doubts about him because of that. But I could see him making a run this year. I could see them wanting to do Dreamgate matches exclusively with those 6 guys between now and the end of the year. Maybe with Shimizu thrown in as a Cork and Hall match somewhere in between. So I could see. I could see.
That makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't knock them if they did that.
I could see the desire to do that. I mean, like when the factoid about once Shingo won the title from Shima, all of the Dreamgate title reigns except for 10 weeks out of it were one of those 6 guys. Well, one of those 5 guys because Tozawa never won it. But the 2 weeks for Susumu and the 6 weeks for Ricochet. Aside from that, one of those guys was Dreamgate champion for 4 years. And are we heading into something similar to that now, or is it going to pivot? And we're going to go to KZ or Shimizu is going to beat one of them. I mean, that's kind of the exciting thing about it. That the boring and predictable path is the rest of the year. All the Dreamgate matches involve 2 of those 6 guys. It's how they get off of that path and throw curves in is what I'm most excited about seeing how they do it and hoping that they do actually do it.
Looking at like the other guys in the 6, I think like he is the one that, like, because of the last 12 months, the gold class, and then like his elevation, that there is a lot of me that goes, he's still only 24. Like, it's like, Case, how much of this would be completely, your apprehension with Minoura would go away if he's basically doing or gets a long stretch with the Dragongate belts, like four or five defenses. You got him, Rita, and Hulk, just a strong Dragongate run. How much would that do to kind of get yourself over that?
I mean, it'd be fine. I think him in a prolonged Twin Gate run would be more interesting because there's a little bit more focus on him that way. A trio scene with Gold Class. Okay, it's Gold Class. I kind of know what they are at this point. Him and either Rita or him and Ben, or if we got really fun, him and Doi holding the Twin Gate belts. That's those matches go on second to last more often than not, and it's a big spot for him. And if I could see him deliver in that setting again with that much focus on him, all right, now I'm back. Give me 5 months with him with the Twin Gate run, with the Twin Gate belt, and all of a sudden I can buy him again as a legitimate main eventer.
Not him and Benkei?
Him and Ben would be fine, but I just think Ben would overshadow him.
What would it's Yamato and Shingo, or is that Tozawa and Hulk?
I would feel like
is that Doyoshi?
That's not Doyoshi.
Yeah.
It's probably Shingo Tozawa right there. I mean, him and Minorito would be. I'm a little surprised they haven't done that yet with those two as the Twin Gate champions just for a minute. But him and Ben would be fine. I don't know if it helps Minoura in the long term because my eyes and I think everybody else's are going to be on Benkei.
Yeah, even when he's not in the match, he's up in the window shouting from the top, shouting out.
Yeah, that's ultimately my big crux with Minoura right now. It's his unit. He's not the most interesting guy in the unit. Minorita saved everything early on, and then Ben came, and when the book on Gold Class is written and what a novel it will be, I think I'm going to associate it with Benkei and the revival of Ben more so than anything Minoura's done.
Yeah, and I think everybody will be looking at what Minorita does afterwards more than they're looking at what Minoura does.
Yeah.
When the unit breaks up.
I completely agree with that.
I guess the thing, like shifting over to Ben, is I think this character does have legs if he's able to be creative enough and change up like what he's shouting about or just like little tweaks to it. But I guess like the big overall question with him is like, what's going to happen if the crowd eventually just goes like, okay, we're done with this? Because I feel like that more so than him than anyone else, because this reinvention has been so much based on him and the crowd. The second they lose, the second the crowd is going like, we're bored, he needs to have something already in the chamber to change it, or that's it for this kind of chicky run.
It's almost been a year though, and we thought it would be over. Immediately, and it's almost a year. I mean, he's found something. I don't want to. Sometimes, I don't think he even thinks when he goes out there. I think he just he gets blinded by the lights and just goes into a fugue state when it's bell time. Because I don't think he's come up with a character at all. I think he's just going out and being a fool.
Jay, this will be a reference that only the two of us will get. Is he the closest thing we have to Ray Smuckles as a pro wrestler?
He kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, because fugue state. Yeah.
He might. Yeah, the man with the blood on his hands. That could be him.
Now that's a good nickname.
Yeah, it could be. It's better than. God, what was that?
Is he still Soul Shouter?
No, he's Chiki Sensei. Actually, let's see what it says on. It probably still says Soul Shouter on the homepage. But no, during the ring call, he's Chiki Sensei now.
As he should be. But I guess like the thing left to be said, like as you said, like he found this, is this going to be his HAGE? And it feels like it. It's just like now that we're a year around, no one seems tired, but I feel like that always kind of looms a little bit overhead with him.
Yeah, and he's, he's got the disadvantage of he had the dream. His Dreamgate title reign was a long time ago now. His Dreamgate title reign was before COVID, and before COVID may as well have been before Christ at this point. It feels so long ago. So I would like to think if and when he wins the championship again, it's not going to have any of the preconceived notions about he's the guy that they gave the ball to in 2019 and he dropped it immediately.
Yeah.
So whether he's the Chiki Chiki Sensei or not, okay, so they've updated his profile, and he's a member of the Reiwa generation, and he is going to engrave Chiki 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 for today and forever. How about that?
How about that?
There's now a part of me that's going like, all right, I don't think Ginky will be around for that, but I'm kind of ready for like the match 2s of Chiki Chiki and Hage dueling chance in 15 years. Like that seems like what he's alluding to.
Yeah, I think any of the 25-year guys, I think Horiguchi seems to be the most likely to retire this year.
I thought it was coming this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's got these shows in Kumamoto, and they're making a big deal. They've been making a big deal about it a year in advance. So I wonder if the last show in Kumamoto is going to be his retirement show.
It would not surprise me.
There's a lot of nice synchronicity. 25 years retiring in your hometown.
I think so too.
I wonder if then for that one they get like a special food stall for his mom there that day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's see. Benkei. What about Shun? I mean, he's been two-time champion now. Not successful either time.
My big second half prediction is I think we're getting a Yoshioka turn, and I think we're getting Shun and Yoshioka as Twin Gate champions. I think that's his path. You know, I could shake up all of Z-Brats in a second, but I would leave Shun right where he is.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say that, because I think Yoshioka, I think he's great now. Like, and I didn't realize how much I liked him until that Korakuen match where at the end he went up for the frog splash and did the smile, and I'm like, this is the fucking guy. But I think his heel turn and then eventual babyface turn is like
that's where it's at.
The Yamato babyface turn moment that we're looking forward to, assuming nothing falls apart. And him and Shun running as a tag team, I'm not sure anyone is, because Shun would have to turn babyface first out of those two, right? Because he's been the longer tenured heel, and I'm not sure anybody's looking forward to that.
I don't think he's started to gain the positive momentum that people are anticipating the face turn. It's still too fresh, and he's still doing so many just overwhelmingly heel things that, like, even like when Yamato turned, like there was like the things of like, okay, we see how Berserk is going at this point, and and there was like all the tipping that they have not even started to throw up the tips for Shun for a face turn.
Yeah, I think he's in the pocket right now. I wouldn't touch what he's doing. I would just, when Diamante got hurt and Ishin got hurt, and for as much as I love Z-Brats, and I think historically they're a great heel unit, the Shun, Kai, Hyo trios matches that we got on every show for about a month, that was like, okay, all right, we're done here. Let's turn Hyo, because I think there's mileage in a Hyo babyface turn. Let's get Kai something new, but Shun's not the problem here.
Yeah. I think Kai, Hyo, and Diamante can go anytime now from this group.
Yeah, they're all pre-COVID heels.
Yeah, I mean, Hyo, 2019. Yeah, so he's been heel for almost 4 years now. I mean, Diamante's been heel for fucking ever.
Yeah, he's only been a heel.
Potentially doomed to be heel until Mr. Asai tells him he can't be. But I mean, he's fine though, because if he still has the mask on his role is going to be to wait for that match to happen and to catch the little guys and let them look spectacular. And he can do that as a heel. He can do that as a good guy, and he can stay in Z-Brats. And him and Skywalker are still an imposing team, and they can, you know, do the thing with Jack where they throw him up in the sky, and he comes crashing down like Goku and all that stuff. And that's fine. Kai and Hyo gotta go.
Yeah.
And you know, look, Hyo's gonna turn face, and then just so he can turn heel again. But I'm okay with that. I've got to see the change sometime soon because we've hit the ceiling on that character.
Yeah, and you know, I think that he can wrestle more to his own strengths as a good guy.
Yep.
At this point, where he can. I mean, I asked him. I was like, "Can you still do all your shit, even though you're all jacked now?" He's like, "Oh yeah, no problem. I don't do leg day, so I can still I can still do all this other." He's like, and you know, Kai, I don't know what you do with him, but you know, Hyo, I feel like a unit of like Yamato, Machine J, Hyo, and I don't know who would you put with those guys?
Is that, I mean, did Kai just go there as well? That's Tribe Vanguard. I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at like Dragon Kid and Kage as the other guys. I'm like, well, it's high end again, but at the same time, I mean, where else do you put those guys? I mean, you can, but I think that those three are not a terrible nucleus for a new unit. I mean, Yamato and Machine J, you know, Machine J can be the leader and he can talk, and Yamato can be there to kind of be the heat sink to kind of draw the popularity and draw the eyes towards the unit. And then you have Hyo, who can be the guy, you know, he can be the guy that loses. He can be an underdog babyface, and he can do, you know, like the Nekotamashi and all that stuff, and that could be his backslide. And, you know, I think that could be decent. I don't know who you fill it out with. I mean, you could put, M3K doesn't need to be around for much longer. So you could put Junior, do you turn him heel or do you put him with D Courage? I mean, there's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of pieces on the board that can go different places right now, but it kind of involves blowing up the pieces that are in place.
Yeah.
But I think you do it. Fuck it. Do it.
Yeah. It's at a point that really the only two, or really like the only like attachments that I think you can't really touch is if there's going to be a gold class, and this is more of a statement on Minoura than it is on Ben. Ben's so closely linked to that now that like I wouldn't want to mess with that. And then D Courage is in a state where you're not blowing up unless you're doing that Yoshioka heel turn.
Yeah,
but even then you're still going to add to D Courage. You could still have Kakuta and Daya as 1 and 1B and fill it out with others.
I mean, you can, if you have Daya and Kikuta together, it doesn't need to be D Courage because the Courage and D Courage is gone if Yoshioka leaves anyway, and that's the excuse to get away from using that name, because D Courage started as a tag team name, and then Kikuta's there and he's not D nor is he courageous, so that would be a good way to get away from the D Courage branding, if that's what they wanted to do. I mean, assuming you get everybody healthy, you've got Fuda, Nagano, Kato, Yanagiuchi, and Tanaka, and then Nishikawa. So that's 7 guys that you can kind of spread out around these groups, even if you don't want to put any of the veterans, guys like Fuji or Kage or Yoshida, even if you don't want to put those guys in a unit. There's a lot of stuff they can do, and I'm wondering when they're going to do it.
And it's something that normally, like, kind of going back to like the calendar, wrapping things up a little bit, it does feel like normally we would be like, okay, coming out of Kobe World, we sometimes would have a Summer Adventure Tag League, or we'll have other stuff like leading to like the big Shingo turn, like kicked off, and then everything settled in the fall here. We were, I guess we are so accustomed to like when the shakeups happen, the big unit shifts happen, there is like a time to resolve it without entanglements. And instead, it seems like, okay, we could see the spark lit on the 2nd, and then we have King of Gate through July, and it's really looking at that King Gate Finals Corkin or the Dangerous Gate for like the turns. And I mean, Dangerous Gate's cater made for that place. So
yeah. I mean, I agree totally. And then there's 2 months. Skywalker's going to be away after Dangerous Gate anyway, so that's time for something to happen with Zebrats. Maybe they could be gone entirely during that time period. Zebrats gets ended and Skywalker goes away, and that's something that could be on the table. But we've got a steel cage match coming up in 1 week that could very well be the start of all of this. So again, I don't know if there's anybody that would be listening to this that isn't already on board, but if not, July 1st is as good a time as any.
There
absolutely.
you go.
And with how the network now, with the longer on-demand periods, you have the great matches that you have put together with Ho-Ho doing English commentary. It's really, as much as I complained about the schedule, having Kobe World at the beginning of the month probably does numbers in the account base. So makes
Yeah,
sense
well, I
in
mean,
that regard.
it's the real scam was the one 2 years ago where it was 2 nights and it was on the last day of July and the first day of August, so you had to subscribe for 2 months to see both of them.
Yeah, if you wanted to see Yoshino's retirement, you had to bank 30.
Live anyway. And most people just signed up on August 1st and watched it on demand. But now you don't have just a week to watch it. Shows will be there for a year. Korakuen shows and big shows will essentially be there forever. They're not going to get pulled down. They'll just get replaced with the TV versions when they're available. We have more English commentary than we have Japanese commentary. There's also wrestler commentary or no commentary if you prefer for the other shows. And it's still expensive, but whatever. So are eggs. Everything is expensive. So give the Dragongate Network a shot.
And with this big show coming up, I think this is a great time to dive in. We were always asked what's the best time to get into Dragongate. Everyone thinking like it does have lore, for lack of a better phrase, but the coming up in July. I mean, I'm right here with the best case scenario. If you think about it, my birthday is on the 1st. I can wake up the next day and start watching Kobe World. So.
Get that. Yeah, you can buy an entire cake and eat it by yourself in the middle of the night while watching Kobe World, because that is exactly what I would do.
Hey, I mean, I have a nice little bakery that's in a deconsecrated church just 2 blocks up the road.
There
Jay.
you go. You got no excuse.
Well, I have my birthday plans figured out for Kobe World. I hope everyone else is making plans as well to tune in July 2nd. Jay, thank you so much for joining us once again.
One more plug, and also with this change to the network on demand, in tandem with the official Dragongate YouTube channel, every single Dragongate show is available over the course of a year. We have 200 and however many shows in a year. There are matches from all of those shows available to you. Dragongate
coming up.
King of Gate is coming up. Between the network and the YouTube channel, you can watch every single King of Gate match. Dragongate is not a difficult promotion to watch. That notion, which was valid for a long time, is no longer valid. That there's so much Dragongate available, even if you don't want to pay money, go on the YouTube channel. There's after every show, there's an hour's worth of digest that you can watch. It's not always the matches you hoped that would make the YouTube digest, but there will still be matches. There will still be matches there for you to watch. So again, literally, you can watch every single show Dragongate does between the network and the YouTube channel. So do it.
Yeah, Jay, if you were to tell me a decade ago, struggling to get Dragongate, that now I could see at least something from all the shows, I would have thought we were in outer space.
Yeah, like I was saying, the 2011 cage match, I was waiting for a group of pirates to upload their ripped torrent of it. And that, the Ricochet Dragon Kid Bravegate match that we said that not a lot of people have seen, not a lot of people saw it because the pirate groups didn't get it. so it wasn't available until it wasn't available in a widespread format until the network came. So yeah, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. Well, Jay, thank you again for joining us. We'll be back with the program next week, talking more Kobe World. You can follow us at Open VoiceGate. Kate is at _ in your case. I'm at Fujiwara. Jay is on at Twitter at Dragongate EN and DG_J as well. Thank you again, Jay, for joining us tonight.
No, my pleasure. The official Twitter channel is not. I update it, but it's not me. It's the company Twitter. If I get, like we talked at the top earlier, if I get struck by lightning, hopefully somebody else will continue doing it. So it won't be me from. They'll probably expect me to do it from beyond the grave, but hopefully there's somebody else that can. But that is the official Dragongate English Twitter. Results, card lineups, announcements, good or bad, can all be found there in English. We also have a Facebook if you still use Facebook. I know a lot of people don't anymore, but that is also there. You can follow me at DG_J, spelled JAE. I don't use the Twitter machine that much anymore, but anything important, if there's something important, or if I'm just feel like having a brain dump, I do use it, so you can find me there. And thanks for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you. And thanks for everyone for listening. We'll be back with you next time. Take care.
Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the podcast all about Joshi Pro Wrestling here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Every other Monday, we are with you talking about the biggest news in Joshi, along with show reviews, previews, and much, much more.
So if you're new to Joshi or you've been a longtime fan, this is the show for you. We've got something for everyone here. So check us out, Jumping Bomb Audio.